Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 358th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call we have Rapping Rob Kelly, Ozzy Smith, Gabe Lewis and Andy Patterson. Welcome to everybody listening in, YouTube, Soundcloud, iTunes, all that stuff. I'm not going to go through the usual spiel, you know where to find us by now. Welcome to everybody in the chat as well. Vibrant chat starting to get buzzing. Just under 4,000 people in there. Hopefully it'll fill up during the night, get to about 20,000 by the end of the evening as usual. Welcome to you all. Let's get started off then with you, Gabe, over in Florida. Seems like a nice place to be, nice and warm in the Meridian Island Gardens down in Florida. Demetrius Andrade against Luke Keeler. Now, I watched a version of this on Friday morning just before I went to work, and the propaganda on this DAZN is absolutely rife, Gabe. At the first bell, the lead commentator pissed me off straight away. I don't know if it was him or Mannix or Grisham, Kenny, whoever these guys are, and he said, Demetrius Andrade has been untouchable during his reign as middleweight world champion. And I'm thinking, dude, he's an irrelevant belt holder. He's been fighting trash. Untouchable. Reign as middleweight champion. What is it with this propaganda, Gabe? I was annoyed from the start. Were you annoyed?
Come on, Gabe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The zone, you're going to get this shit week in and fucking week out. Brian Kenny, he used to do Showtime broadcasts as the kind of guy in between the fights and some of the lead-in shit. He's fucking awful. Sergio the Snake, fucking hope he never fights again. Mora is fucking awful. The whole broadcast show was awful. So, you know, when you watch the PBC broadcast, I'm gonna credit Goosen on there, because whenever you watch him, he'll tell you the truth with what he's seeing. HBO is not HBO, pardon me, ESPN is fucking awful with Timmy, and everybody on that broadcast is fucking just trash. And Joe Tessitore used to be one of my fucking favorites, along with Atlas whenever they did Friday Night Fights. But they're rubbish. But the zone is a whole new level of fucking shit when you talk about commentary. It really is. As far as technically what's going on, sometimes it's okay. It's not bad in that area. But if you want to watch it and have a neutral call of a fight, you better not fucking watch that with the commentary on, because it's going to fucking blow your mind. I mean, they're just absolutely ridiculous with the way they call shit. So, no, Steve, you're not incorrect. No, Steve, you're not biased against the zone because it's Eddie's bullshit. There's nothing wrong with it. Saying the truth in this regard, and the zone commentary is absolute fucking rubbish.
Gabe, give us a word on the fight then. From about the first few seconds, poor Luke Keeler standing there looked like his feet were in treacle, got dropped by an Andrade shot. They said Andrade doesn't tend to get rid of his opponents, even though he drops them early. I was there the night he fought Walter Corkandokwa, and the fight just went on and on and on. He doesn't usually finish them, but Luke, I said before, nice guy, probably not deserving of it. Well, he wasn't deserving of this shot, was he? Let's be honest. Tried his best, but he was completely outmatched, Gabe. Andrade finally got rid of him in the 9th round. Should he have got rid of him earlier? And he should be blasting these guys out. No matter what his dad says in the corner about going the rounds and going the distance, he needed to get rid of this guy. Should he have got rid of him quicker?
I feel like he should have, Steve. I mean, that's one of the things that really irks me about a lot of prospects and guys that are coming up, and fighters of the current eras. You see them come up and they want to look fancy, and they want to do the shoulder roll, and they want to, try to be undefeated, and they want to, have all these things that they've seen Floyd Mayweather do, and they're not fucking Floyd Mayweather. I mean, look, let's be completely transparent. Floyd is absolutely one of the better fighters that we've had in the sport of boxing. But how great he is, I'm not going to go into that debate. I don't want to start that shit. But these guys are not him. They don't have the same knowledge. They don't have the same abilities and all of those things. And so whenever I see those younger guys, and Pupu Andrade falls into that category, they're just ridiculous. It's ridiculous to stay in a fight whenever you can finish it. It makes absolutely no sense. So think about the average fighter. How many fights would you say in a career, depending on where they come from? Some of those guys from Mexico fight a whole lot of cab drivers, and they start really young. But you're looking around 45, 50 fights, maybe a little bit higher, a little bit under, depending on the situation of the fighter when he turns pro. Every single round that you go is going to contribute to the ability to carry on and go more fights. So why in the fuck would you possibly put yourself in a position for someone to land a lucky punch? I don't like that term, but sometimes there are guys that land a punch and it just lands in the right spot at the right time. Why would you put yourself in that position? If you can finish a guy, fucking finish him. Get out of the fight. Let's not make this any longer than it needs to be. Now, I'm absolutely for not being a dumbass and going in there like a fucking idiot and getting blasted out because you were leaving your chin wide open throwing haymakers. But at the same time, if you can do it, you should do that. And that's always the philosophy that I think of as being a good boxer. If you can do something, why the fuck don't you? That's like being a banker and not making millions of dollars if you could do it. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, Andrade's very risk averse. He doesn't like getting hit. No boxer likes getting hit, but I'd like to see someone take him into the trenches and hit him hard and often. Someone like a Golovkin's kind of style. I know Selecki tried it to a certain extent, even a Sergei Derevanchenko. Someone who's going to hit him hard and often, because he always throws a shot with a defensive move in mind. He's always looking to step back. He throws that big mop of hair down to try and duck out of the way of punches. I want someone to consistently put it on him and see what he's got to offer. Rob, as I said before, I'm sure you'll agree with me. Like I said, Luke Keeler, a real nice fella. We've had him on the pod. He's done things the hard way. Comes from a tough part of Dublin. Probably didn't deserve this shot. He just didn't have anything at all. I mean, apart from guts in abundance, his head was static. The feet were static. Peter Taylor was trying to put a bit, after the second round, Peter was like, you're going to have to show me something here, Luke. And I was surprised that he even made it to the ninth. It was only really Andrade's conservatism that allowed him to last that far.
Yeah, and look, Luke is probably not at that level. It's obviously he's not at that level. He's probably European level and peak at that. You know what I mean? And Peter Taylor's done a good job of bringing him along and got him into a position where he's as good as he's going to be, if that makes sense. I know there was talk of some kind of controversy and some kind of exchange of words between him and Conor McGregor at one stage, where he's probably trying to put himself in a profile. But I think that was spilling out into the entourages, and they were making WhatsApps and that back and forward to each other, the associated entourage. But that's neither here nor there. He put himself in the frame to get himself a good payday, got it. And he can come again, but he'll never operate at world level based on that showing. And like I said, I think Peter Taylor's kind of got him into a position where he's as good as he's going to be. Andrade flatters to deceive a little bit. I haven't liked watching any of his fights, and then I haven't seen him really fight anybody either. So he's a belt holder. He got his belt because Billy Joe got popped for nasal spray, and that's why he got his belt. He never won it in the ring. He won a vacant title. Defended it now a few times against fucking cannon fodder. Really hasn't had a test, so I'm not impressed by Andrade. He does nothing for me. I don't care what Mel B says.
Forgot about that.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. Look, I'm not saying he couldn't be exciting with the right opponent, but he needs the right dance partner now. And I think I heard Aaron talking about different potential opponents from last night. They want Canelo, Golovkin, Billy Joe in England, a couple of others. I think, who was the other one he was talking about? Munguia. Munguia and him would probably be a fight that he could put himself on the map. But again, I don't know if anyone would be in a hurry to see either of the two of them. He might get Golovkin at the right time. I think Golovkin got old in the Danny Jacobs fight, as I said before. I think he's about 4 years past his prime now, so he might be able to avoid Golovkin. He is quite tall. And Derevchenko certainly showed that there's chinks in the armour there for Golovkin, so he might get him at the right time. Golovkin's hanging on for the third Canelo fight, which Canelo has no interest in. So it's a bit of a mess there over at the zone, isn't it? With Bubu Andrade, where does he really go? Billy Joe's the only real opponent for him out of those 4 or 5 names mentioned, really, isn't it? It's Billy Joe's the one that we want to see, but again, he's hanging on for the Canelo payday as well. So not a big fan of Bubu Andrade, man. It's just, and Luke Keeler probably overachieved by getting that shot and put up a decent performance, but a top level 160 pounder absolutely obliterates him after dropping him so early as well. So nothing to write home about from them two.
Yeah, Andrade is not exempt from criticism. I'm looking at his record here. He's 31 years of age. He's been a pro since 2008, so he's coming now into his 12th year as a professional, and he hasn't really achieved anything. I think he was an Olympian at one point. Was it maybe 2008, or was it maybe earlier? I can't remember anyway. But I mean, he's achieved pretty much nothing. And DAZN, I hate to go back to DAZN, Aussie, but I'm gonna have to shit on them again. Talking about the next fight coming up during round 5, they had a discussion about Andrade's next fight, and Chris Mannix says, well, he's not going to fight Canelo, and he's not going to fight Triple G. And I'm thinking, well, they're both with DAZN, so is Billy Joe Saunders. So what's the problem? And then Mannix proceeds to shit on Charlo of all people, for not taking the fight, shifting the blame over to Heyman. No, I'm not saying the PBC aren't a pain in the hole. We know they are. I'd like to see Andrade against Charlo. But when you're using evidence that begins with, he's being avoided, promoter Eddie Hearn told us earlier that, woo, promoter Eddie Hearn told us, just stop right there. I mean, why can't he fight Canelo? Why can't he fight Saunders? Why can't, Mannix was saying as if this is okay. They're both with DAZN. Make the fights, man. Charlo's on another network. We know what it's like trying to make fights across networks. I'm not exempting them from blame at all. They're full of shit too, but at least try and make fights with the people who are on the same network as you. You think it'd be easier to make fights against Golden Boy guys because they're with DAZN as well? I mean, I don't understand, Ozzy. Maybe I'm just a bit confused by this situation.
I would agree with that. I don't see him in the running for the Canelo fight. I think Canelo's exploring other avenues. I don't think that's anything to do with, Andrade being avoided or anything whatsoever. But in terms of the Golovkin fight, that fight can be made comfortably. There's just no interest. Edward was dishing out emails, getting him up on his phone, saying he made an offer to Charlo and things like that. And he knows how to play it. He's a spin doctor. He knows exactly what to do. He knows it's a problem. But if he's seen as making the offers, then people, like his lapdogs just say, yeah, well, promoter Eddie Hearn did this, did that, etc. The Billy Joe Saunders fight can be made. There is absolutely no reason why that fight cannot be made. Golovkin, there is plenty of options for him. But sadly, his fights that's just seemingly being avoided. I watched the fight. It wasn't an enjoyable watch. I thought Keeler looked really poor, massively outclassed. It just shows that these bauble belts get you into false rankings. I mean, this is a guy that's getting beat off Tom Doran and knocked out off Tom Doran, and now he's fighting for a world title. Never looked, he was never in the fight. And as for Andrade, he was. I didn't think it was a good performance. He was sluggish, but it's not surprising when you're fighting someone levels and levels above. I thought Rob was being quite kind to him when he said he was at European level Keeler. I wouldn't even put him at that stage, in my opinion. So look, it's one of them that I guess keeps him active for a guy that used to, have like one fight every 18 months. One thing I will give them credit for, regardless of the opposition, they have kept him active. But now it's time to step up. Now it's time to start making these fights in-house. Use the billions that was marketed about and said you've got and things like that. And we can make any fight we want. Well, do it. You've got Golovkin signed to the channel. You've got Canelo signed to the channel. You have Billy Joe Saunders signed to the channel. You have options. These other guys, bar Canelo, don't have options. Make the fight happen.
Absolutely. Make it happen, says Ozzy. Andy, what do you think? Big Demetrius Andrade fan checking in here. Yeah, I think you said right back in the Jack Culco fight, weren't you slating? Because he was like Andre Ward a little bit, wasn't he? Trying to, he was fighting with Star Boxing, Artie Palulo, trying to get out of his contract because someone turned his head. I mean, the time for bullshit is gone with Andrade. He's going to have to step up and fight someone now, and Eddie's going to have to deliver for him.
Yeah, well, I suppose I've got to... I want to give Eddie a wee bit of credit for him because he's picked up not so much a broken fighter, but a fighter who just isn't sellable. As you mentioned, his promotional issues and stuff. Was it Banner Promotions and that Palulo, I think it was. He ended up signing with one and then ended up getting a co-promoter involved, and then I'm sure it was Rock Nation who came in with an offer with him, and at the time he had a deal with Showtime on the table, and he got his head turned by Rock Nation, as you mentioned. That fell apart. The Showtime deal went to shit, and he ends up in court. That's probably his best one to date, actually, is beating his promoters in the courtroom. Signs with Eddie, he gets his world title fight. What I was going to ask, actually, I see that Auckland Daughter fight, that was supposedly a mandatory defence, wasn't it? Because that was meant to be the Saunders-Andrade fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So when's the mandatory due for it next? When's his next mandatory due? Because I don't know if the rankings have been fixed out, but I see that Fox is still ranked 2. Williams is ranked 1. Is he number 1, or is it Munguia?
Munguia is at 1. Williams is at 2.
Right, so chances are they might make those two fight a final eliminator.
I wouldn't be shocked if Munguia is being called as the actual mandatory. I don't think it's officially being called, but I think he's been placed in at number 1. So yeah, the latest ones has got Williams at 2. That's what I mean. Luke Keeler was at 3. Fucking hell.
Shocking. Shocking. This is.
So it's Munguia, but again, unless that fight is officially called. Actually, no, there's no problem with that one either, because Golden Boy are with DAZN as well, so there's no issues. There is 4 fights that we've named here that can comfortably be made.
Jacobs.
Jacobs, another one. There is fights there, and they're going after the one fighter that's not on the channel, and then just abusing him and calling him out, saying he's ducking it and things like that. You can see the story and narrative from an absolute mile away.
Mm-hmm. My biggest problem with Andrade, right, obviously, since he's had the world title, in the inverted commas, it's like death and taxis, and other thing guaranteed is Andrade world title fight to go 12 rounds just about. Killer, I thought, he said he tried his best. As you say, there's levels. Conrad Cummins is the kind of level that he should be fighting at. Right, so you're talking maybe fringe European level, whatever you want to call it. Andrade, he was sloppy Thursday night. This is the other thing as well. Is why hold the card on Thursday night? This is bullshit. Think about it.
Super Bowl Sunday, though, isn't it?
It doesn't matter, mate. It's a Saturday. Put the card on Saturday. Who gives a fuck? I got up on Friday morning and I seen people moaning like fuck that the card ran too long. There was too many intermissions or too many breaks in between fights. Apparently the main event didn't start until like 11:30 at night. Was this a fucking Frank Warren card we're watching?
Weren't they cross-televising again, Andy? Like they did with the Kovalev-Canelo fight or something they were saying. They done one of them stupid things, didn't they? That's why it went on for so long.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing about DAZN have really fucked up. Remember they had to go begging to Dana White to get a UFC fight shown because they're going to rip up the arena? It was Kovalev-Canelo. They had to get the UFC fight. What the fuck are they doing? That's what Gabe's complaining about as well as... and then as Ozzy, if you listen to Ozzy last week and that, he's briefing us on the card and that, then his heart sinks when he mentions the YouTube fight. This is what we're talking about. You put Andrade top of the card. He's supposedly, this fantastic fight on the cusp of pound for pound. I got told during the week, cusp of pound for pound. Yeah, you're fucking putting YouTubers below him just so you can get the subscriptions in. And you go, Rob.
No, sorry. Come back to me on that YouTube thing when you get a chance, Steve.
That'll be next week or never.
He's calling out Canelo. He's calling out Golovkin. Right? He's calling out these top fighters, guys who have been there, done it, probably earned their stripes to call what fights they want to fight. Right? I think it was Rob or say that Golovkin's hanging about for that third fight. He's went to Victor Conte, so we might see a more super improved version of Golovkin. Who knows? Canelo does what he does. You can't tell me Canelo going to fight Marat is not a more exciting fight or interesting fight compared to Canelo fighting Andrade. There is no way. I don't care how you want to package it. Marat has shown that he can go into fights, improve himself, and be in exciting fights. Andrade does nothing of that for me. He's awful to watch. I'm not going to go too heavy on the guy, but as I say, Eddie's had to work with this guy to a point. He's fighting in rave clubs in fucking Florida, right? He's fighting Arthur Akavov, who Saunders looked shit against and probably could have lost. He's went 12 rounds with Atlantic Fox that fucking Liam Williams destroyed. And how many rounds was it? 2, 3 rounds, whatever it was. If you want me to pick up an opponent for outside Canelo or Golovkin for Andrade next, it would be Liam Williams. He had the Charlo fight ready to go. It was all signed and sealed and delivered supposedly, and he pulls out with an injury. So he can't then turn around and say to me that he's wanting to fucking fight Canelo and Golovkin on pay-per-view, which he was wanting back at that time. He's fucking at it. And the other thing as well is he's not active enough. Now, if you want to fight the big fights, after what you've went through with your promoter, going through court, losing TV deals, and then having another so-called big, Rock Nation, by the way, who, when to go, they're not a boxing promoter. Look what did the Gamboa, for fuck's sake, or was that 50 Cent? Who knows? You need to be fighting more actively. Do what Jaime Munguia did, for example. He was an active champion. People say that he was lucky to get some of his defences over the line and stuff like that. Okay, good, but at least he was active. At least he put his belt on the line. Guys like Golovkin was fighting actively as well. Get in the fucking ring, fight 3-4 times a year. Get yourself up the rankings. Show us a performance. Show us that you are lightning, that you can end the fight, and that you're more exciting to watch. And people will want to see you in with like Canelo and Golovkin, and Jacobs, for example. Just fucking fight somebody. Be interesting. Be exciting to watch. That's all we're asking. Sorry, Steve.
Andy, no, I agree with you, because I think this is going back to the fact that there's too many TV dates and too many stations around at the moment. This mediocrity is getting indulged. I've said this before. It's mediocrity indulged. Guys like Tevin Farmer, decent fighter, Bubo Andrade, they're getting these headliners because they have to put something on. Andrade should be a footnote on like Canelo's career or Golovkin's career. It should be fodder. He's like a Keith Holmes, a Robert Allen were to Bernard Hopkins, like a Howard Eastman was to Bernard Hopkins. That's all Andrade is. His mediocrity is being indulged because there's too much money, too many TV stations, and too many dates to fill.
Yep, it's going to hit critical mass at some point. I mean, as I mentioned last week, Tevin Farmer will come to his fight, but he's demanding something like $5 million to fight Gervonta Davis. I mean, dude, who the fuck are you? You're another one. You didn't knock out fighters. You're never an exciting fight. You've got a bit of slickness. That's about it. You don't put bums in seats. You're not exciting to watch. Yet you're coming out with these fucking, these demands that you're not even entitled to fucking, make demands of that fucking type. You want to talk about, I hate talking about splits and A-sides and that, but clearly Gervonta Davis is the A-side of that Tevin Farmer fight. Well, and then, after that fight on Thursday, you're now the C-side. Just think about it. But, you say, mediocrity, it's all it is. He's a mediocre belt holder. He got the belt based off Billy Joe Saunders getting caught for a nasal spray, or so we're led to believe at least. But it's just frustrating to watch. So says people, he's got skills, right? Okay, he's got a bit of skill about him, but most belt holders these days have got a bit of skill. The fuck, he's been boxing since he was like 6 or 7 years old. He's not a mug. He's just not exciting to watch. It's just period. You get fucking fighters like it, but to come out here and start making demands, I'm going to fight the Charlo twins, and then I'm going to fight Golovkin and Canelo on pay-per-view. He demanded 50-50 to fight Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto, man. Cotto, who, okay, I'm a big fan of his, but he was a fucking superstar.
And a cash generator and an ass putter in seats. Every Puerto Rican fucking in America will come out and come and see Cotto, even now if he fought.
Pre-Margarito, Cotto was one of the prime names in the sport. He earned his stripes the hard way, and with Pacquiao pushed him, that was prime Pacquiao he was facing. He needs to get real about this, and again, as I say, I'm giving Hearn a wee bit of credit, but at the same time, as he must have a hell of a lot of hard time trying to make fights, because, as we mentioned, he's not got the stable, either in Britain or in America. He's putting on these shocking cards with these YouTubers, man. Fucking terrible. He needs to be, but he needs to try and get Oscar in as well, because they clearly know how to put fucking fights on in America. Eddie doesn't know the market.
Right, Gabe, let's go on to the undercard. We spoke about Andrade for long enough. Take your pick, but I'll just mention a few of the fights. Anthony Sims Jr., Ozzy mentioned last week, he's been fighting trash. He stepped up against Roma Alexis Angulo and he lost a split decision. I didn't actually see that fight, so I can tell you pretty much nothing about it. Last week as well, Gabe, I thought Daniel Roman would have a tough time against Murodjon Akhmadaliev, but possibly get the win. I think I wouldn't argue with it. I think it was a very close fight. If it had gone to Roman on a split, I wouldn't have argued with it. It went to Akhmadaliev on a split, and he's the new champion, so fair play to him. It was a very closely contested fight. I thought Roman did a lot of good work to the body. Akhmadaliev's a good fighter and a good champion. Wouldn't mind seeing them have a rematch there. Good fight all round. And also Tevin Farmer losing his title to Jojo Diaz. I'm going to give Jojo Diaz a pat on the back, Gabe. Wasn't his biggest fan on the way up. I thought he was quite boring, quite conservative, didn't really tick any boxes, but against Gary Russell, I like the fact that he came out and he had a go. He didn't win on that night, but he did this time against Farmer. He came there and he didn't leave anything to chance, and that's what I like about fighters. He's grown on me, Diaz. He tries to take his opportunities. If you're going to get in there, leave it all in the ring. He had a really bad cut. He went in and he said, I'm going to take this opportunity, whether I win or lose. I'm not going to leave anything to chance, and fair play to him. He came away with the titles. I think he's a worthy champion. He's definitely grown on me. Tell me what you think, Gabe, about the undercard.
Yeah, I thought I was a little bit surprised by Danny Roman. I thought he was going to win a little bit more handily, but that was a good close fight. And then with Farmer, I've seen Jojo Diaz several times, and he's never, like you, done much to impress me. Which is not to say that I dislike the guy, but like you said, he just doesn't really check the boxes that you'd like to see. So he's not really slick. He's not particularly a tremendous inside fighter. He is not necessarily a great technician. And he has some flaws as a come forward fighter as well. So he's kind of like one of those guys that does a lot of things, but doesn't do any of them particularly well. To the point that you would identify his style by that one thing, the way I feel about him. But he did, and he looked okay in that fight, you know. So, I mean, I was surprised. I thought Farmer would outbox him, but you know, I mean, you got what you got, and I would like to see the rematch between the two of them. It was one that I think I'm really not sure if that was the best that Tevin Farmer could do. I really don't think that was his best performance. Maybe chalk it up to some of the activity, or maybe just a bad night. He's already been defeated multiple times, which is not to say that that's a bad thing, but I would think a guy like him at this point in his career knows how to come back. So a rematch would be good. And then with the Roman fight, I think that one really overall was pretty close. I felt like some of the body work, like you said, Steve, that Roman was doing was pretty good. But I think we all know that a lot of judges won't necessarily rate the body punches unless they're being thrown by fucking Canelo Alvarez. So, I mean, it's just one of those weird things that body work is good, and people that like boxing and have watched a lot of it and know a little bit about it typically like to see a good body puncher, but it's just not something that judges, in my mind, really seem to score all that high. So I think that might have been part of the reason why he came up short. But either way, good. It was a solid 2 fights there. Probably not my favorite fights of the whole weekend. I'll save that one for a little bit later on. But decent fights, and I think that's the reason why I haven't stopped subscribing to the Zone, despite their nonsense with the announcing and the, you know, some cases lackluster quality of fights. It seems like really most of the cards they put on, there's at least one fight that turns out to be good, and that's been kind of continual. And I can appreciate that fact, and that fact only, because otherwise, like you've said, we get a shitload of content. But not all of it's that good. And they seem to get lucky with their matchmaking and have at least one good show or a good fight per card, it seems like.
Yeah, I don't think DAZN's sustainable and it's going to last, but if for like $8.33 or whatever you're paying, I'm not going to start doing DAZN is really paying off tweets, but if I was there, I'd probably pay for it. But, well, I don't know. Probably wouldn't, Gabe, to be honest, but theoretically, I don't think it's the worst investment in the world. What deal are you on?
I'm on the old one. So, like, whenever they initially started out, I think it was, $10, $15. I don't even know what I'm paying for that shit. But then they jumped the price up. And so if you, like, the way I understand it, my price is good for as long as my account's still active. So if I ever shut my account down and then go back in to try to restart it, then it'll be what I think it's fucking 30... $29.99, something like.
Is that what it's gone up to now? So
it's something pretty fucking ridiculous.
I don't think it's that high. No, I don't think it's that high.
I thought it was $20. It started off at $9.99, which
maybe that's right. Value. Hold on, I'm logging in there right now to see if I can look at it and see.
Yeah,
it's $20 or you pay for the year. But I mean, people always say, "Oh, I'll just cancel it whenever and resubscribe." But surely, once you've cancelled it once, they won't let you go back on the same credit card, would they? I mean, they're not that stupid.
No, you can't. So if you sack off your initial price, that will no longer exist for new subscribers. So you'll just go on at the top rate.
Yeah, you couldn't keep coming back and forward. That's what I was
thinking. No. I mean, to be fair, unless like you're struggling to make ends meet, if you got on at $10, it's not bad value for $10 because it's not just the boxing you get as well. They do have other sports on there as well. I mean, I think it's extremely cheap actually for what you do for what they do get. But no, the prices are going up, and I mean, I think it went up within 6 or 8 months. So I think that showed then that they had the initial surge of getting him in at $10, and now they now need to start recouping some of that cash because the money that
you're right. It's $10.81 is what it pays with, I guess, taxes and everything. So $9.99 or whatever it is, and then $20 if you try to go back and re-sign up later on. That's what it comes out to.
Well, it wouldn't shock me if it goes up another $10 as well in the next 12 months. If they can secure some more sports on there just to justify it, then it goes up to $30 a month then and things like that. And each time it goes up the price, it's going to be more difficult to attract, your one-off subscribers potentially, to watch these shows. Box Nation had it. It is the problem with just subscription services. It's a real struggle. And DAZN started off as a complete new market in the US, as did Box Nation over here. And they're targeting such a small platform with what Andy says is, in reality, quite substandard content, because a lot of the US market is just tied up already. So they're putting these YouTubers on the channels now to try and drive subscriptions. I mean, I've not seen any, like news stories that, for example, the KSI fight, brought in, say, X amount of subscribers to the channel. And likewise, the pathetic, I'm not even going to call it a fight, I'm just going to call it just a freak show, what was on show on Thursday night.
If the numbers are good, you'll hear them. So if you don't hear them, then you draw your own conclusions.
Yeah, and look, I get that. That's the way PR works, and it's not difficult to spin a story like that. But I mean, we keep getting told that these fights will do more good for boxing, these YouTube fights. I completely disagree. I think it'll do more bad. Thursday night's display was horrendous. It was absolutely abysmal.
I've seen that.
Well, I woke up for work and I put the telly on thinking, I'll see what fights are on. And the YouTube thing was coming on. It was over in like 60 seconds or something like that. But that 60 seconds was an absolute shambles. So I actually watched Luke Keeler live, which was quite amusing.
Just what you were saying there, Ozzy. Just what you were saying there about like so the all the other markets are tied up in America and stuff. See when Al Heyman started off with the PBC, at least he had the fighters tied down. He took advantage of the fact that De La Hoya was struggling with the cocaine addiction, ended up checking himself into rehab. And what happens? Schaefer does all the dirty on him and gets all the fighters signed there to Al Heyman. So he starts off with the PBC. Eddie Hearn rocks out with fucking Andrade. And who was it? Diaz? I forget who it is. And next minute, so after he signed the deal, he's telling the fighters, I've got the biggest deal in boxing history. I've got $1 billion to spend. Vargas. I've got the billions of dollars to spend, right? Next minute, he starts telling us he wants to sign Broner, the Charlos, Mikey Garcia, who's signed, but it's like it's a one-fight deal where a matching contract, right? So he's naming he wants to sign all these fighters, yet he's still struggling. He's overpaying guys like Andrade just to fill fucking dates. It's the same in the UK and that. Dillian White's not going to be fighting anybody. We all know this. He's like a headliner for a pay-per-view. If Brook wins this fight next week, you can guarantee he's going to be lining up for a pay-per-view stunt if he's successful. It's just shit, man. Showtime's dying its arse. The last two cards they've put on, HBO, they've washed away. ESPN cards have been quite shite as well recently.
Andy, can I just throw something in response to something you said there? I don't want to get dragged down in the weeds, but the way you mentioned Schaefer and all that. Maybe the argument could be, look at the way De La Hoya has gone a complete mess and Golden Boy has fucked up since Schaefer left. Maybe he was the one that was holding everything together, and he's like, right, I'm fed up now, or whatever. I'm going to have to do something here because this guy is an absolute complete and utter mess. I'm going to have to get out of here. So maybe it wasn't as dirty and as one-sided as we first thought.
Well, you're spot on there because when De La Hoya was supposedly at his peak as a promoter, it was Schaefer was doing all the talking. It was, he was the one in the front of the cameras doing all the interviews and stuff. And if it's one thing that Floyd Mayweather always remember him mentioning stuff, that he had a fantastic working relationship with Richard Schaefer and called him I forget the exact word he used in that, but I think it was something along like he's like a top bloke, so to speak. So coming from like the biggest star in the sport, I think that that speaks volumes actually, because he's obviously the guy in the background taking care of all the problems that Oscar should have been taken care of. But you just hear Oscar talking, man. He's so cliched. He's like he's searching for words to kind of like just something new and different. Whereas Schaefer, okay, he's a tricky bastard. I will admit this. He bounced on a pint on me in fucking Belfast, man. Still not happy with him. But he's a smart dude, man. He's been working in the banking industry for how many decades before he got into boxing?
I asked him, do you remember? I interviewed him in Belfast, and I asked him about the De La Hoya thing, and he didn't swerve it, to be fair. He said, there was no monkey business for me. It's on YouTube somewhere, if you look it up. Yeah.
So obviously, he's like... Heyman's probably looked at the background on these fighters and stuff, and he's let the contract run down. Obviously, the one that stayed loyal to him was Canelo, but I think even to them, when Oscar checked into rehab, it was a night I think it was the night before the weigh-in or the night before the fight that Canelo fought Floyd. So what's Canelo thinking at this point? My promoter's like basically a drug addict. Mm-hmm. You have to check yourself into rehab and stuff. Yeah. So I can see his point of view at this point, whereas Canelo's absolutely fucking raging because Oscar's meant to have promised his third fight to DAZN with Golovkin and stuff, and Canelo's like, no, dude, I am the A side. There we go again, the A side. But he is the A side. He decides who he fights, when he fights, and how he fights. That is the end of it. We had it with Floyd, we had it with Manny, we had it with Vlad probably to a degree, Joshua, all the top 1%ers of the sport get to do what they fucking want to do, and how much they get paid, they doesn't give a fuck. They get paid because they know they've got Golovkin 100 million. 300 million for Canelo. Joshua's making 20 million a fight. Fucking they do what they want.
The funny thing about that is with the situation with Canelo is that you have Hearn at DAZN now dangling Canelo as a carrot for 3 different fighters at the same time: Bubo Andrade, Callum Smith, and Billy Joe Saunders, and he's not going to fight any of them. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'll get to the Canelo fight Billy Joe, I'll get to the Canelo fight Bubo, I get to the Canelo fight Callum. Well, Callum Smith's going to end up fighting John Ryder again in a rematch and might lose. Bubo Andrade is going to end up fighting Jaime Munguia. And Billy Joe is in with a shot at getting Canelo, but not next. So, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Ozzy, let's get back to this undercard quickly before we move on. One thing you can maybe clear up for me. Perhaps I'm having a big casual moment here, but tell me about this Daniel Roman Akhmadaliev fight. I heard a couple of people, including the much maligned DAZN commentary, describing this as a unification. But Daniel Roman arrived with the WBA and the IBF titles in his possession. So what exactly is he unifying with? Ozzy, sorry.
Sorry, I muted myself by accident then. I mean, I don't know if that's what they pass off now, is when you're making a defence of if you hold 2 titles, then you could. That's what they're dubbing as a unification. I'm not 100% sure. As far as I'm aware, that wasn't a unification. You're just making a defence of 2 titles. I'm happy to be proven wrong if that's not the case.
Doesn't really matter.
This is what I mean. No, yeah, I mean, but this is what I mean, though. If they are wrong there, it's just an uneducated opinion that they're saying, on a big platform and just telling people false things. So that's what I mean. I mean, I've seen that the media team there have come under a lot of flack for their commentary and things like that, and it's certainly more bad than good. And this is just another example of what it was. But no, I'll give them credit overall though on that card. I actually thought it was quite good. The Farmer and the Roman fights were decent. Obviously, you had the Andre Keeler fight, which was just exactly what it was, just a routine defence. And then you had that shoddy YouTube thing as well, which apparently they're looking to make another one now and build that KSI and Jake Paul now. So it's all part of a plan, isn't it? And this is where the sport's at now. I saw a young fighter basically saying, I've grafted all the way up. Like I have to sell tickets. I won my first belt last year and things like that. And these YouTubers, because they do numbers, fancy putting on a pair of gloves. They're not even called fighters as well. I don't buy this bullshit of they deserve credit because they're getting in a ring. No, they don't at all. They are not fighting fighters. They're going in against another pudding who makes the cash of putting YouTube videos up. Again, who is not a fighter. If they turned over as pro and then boxed, legit professional boxers, yeah, good on you. But you're not. It's just this. I'm trying to think of the word. It's like I say, a freak show is the best way to describe it, because that's exactly what it is. And it's being used to grow a market over there because, as Andy said, they're struggling to tap into it. And this is what they're trying to do. And they don't care anymore. If it does the numbers, that's what it is. Boxing's a flooding market now in the UK and the US. There's so many TV channels that want to get involved because they saw, like essentially what Anthony Joshua did and the numbers that he brought in and people like that. It's a flooded market. Everybody wants to get involved. Everyone's chucking dough at it. And essentially, the big fights now happen when they either get mandated or they're in tournaments, because people don't go looking for them. Because, as they say, they can get paid millions and millions of dollars, pounds, euros to fight utter trash. Absolute trash. I mean, I'd love to know what Andre got to fight Keeler. But I bet it was a high six-figure purse. It's the easiest dough he'll ever make in his life. And if he can rattle off defences like that, and if because the big fights can't be made, but we'll keep him active and just pull another clown from the rankings, there's no interest in taking the big fights. Because, as you say, if you can line your pockets fighting, substandard boxers for top money, why bother? You don't need to. And it all just results back to the flooded market now. And it's essentially, you wouldn't mind a couple of TV channels fucking off, basically, if it meant more fights happening, rather than, trying to spread the thin base of top quality around, and then the TV channels go, we want it, you want it, we want it, we're not working with you, and then the fights never happen.
You can just imagine it as well I'm trying to think of, take Charlo, for example, having to fight Andrade. Can you imagine the fucking about trying to get that fight on Foxy? Hearn saying, I'm not going to let you fight on that network, I need you on the zone. And just like Al Heyman's not going to let Charlo fight on the zone. He needs him for fucking Fox cards. It's just pish.
I wouldn't be shocked though, Andy, if they did let Andrade go elsewhere. Right, okay, then you put the money up, because it means they don't have to pay him. They'll make money off Andrade because he's got a promotional contract, so he'll have to pay Matchroom USA, and it might get him some more exposure, if he goes and fights on Fox or ESPN or something like that. Yeah, I think certain fighters that don't do that. I mean, did you see the venue? It looked
it was a fucking rave nightclub.
It looked weird. There were settees in the background and stuff like that. People just sat down. It looked like a bit of a Dosser event. It was really odd.
They did that. I wonder why they did that, guys. Because isn't the weekend of the Super Bowl in Florida as well? So everything would have been sold out, and they're not going to attract too many people. I wonder what the thinking was. Maybe Eddie was going to schmooze them, try and get in with the NFL or something.
The Bants, Eddie Hearn Bants, the banter. Bring
So,
Jason Gavin along with him,
So it was a real bizarre venue. It looked odd, but I think the way it'll work now is, unless it goes to a purse bid and they lose, I think only if fights get made. But it showed it with Farmer. They were saying, right, Tevin Farmer can go over there, but we want like $6 million. That is just a way of pricing yourself out of a fight. And look what happened now. He got fucking beat. He had the chance for the biggest payday of his career, and greed stopped it from happening. Pure greed. I mean, he would have got destroyed off Davis for what it's worth. I don't think it'd have gone well past 4 rounds. But pure greed stopped him from there, and these inflated purses are just stopping the bigger fights from happening now. But the venue was bizarre. I just didn't understand. It was like I wouldn't even, like a hall, like a town hall or something like that. A glorified town hall. I don't know what it held or anything, but it just amused me. They had like tables and then just a lot of settees, dumped in the background what people were sitting on and things. It was a really strange atmosphere, pretty much a non-event really, for what had a couple of good fights on the card as well.
Andy, any undercard loving from you before we bring Robin finally on this YouTube thing and move on?
Yeah, I really enjoyed undercard. Akhmadaliev and Roman was a really, really good scrap. I think a rematch would be in the offing sometime. Maybe no next, but certainly Roman done more than enough. I didn't go back and watch it, but I think he done more than enough to potentially get a shade of that. I thought he maybe nicked that fight, and I like the look at Akhmadaliev. He's very, very strong for the weight. If I like to see if ever comes up at some point him against O'Bally, I think that would be a really good fight. But certainly there's some. I thought Akhmadaliev started pretty quick, first 3-4 rounds, and Roman kind of settled into it a wee bit and kind of. I don't know if it was because Akhmadaliev started to slow down a little bit after a fast start, but I thought Roman started kind of coming into it. Good jab, right hands, work to the body as well. So certainly the scorecards were roughly round about what I kind of thought, but I did think maybe Roman just shaded it. Farmer. Obviously concerns there during that fight. I didn't really notice it actually until I was sitting in between rounds and that twitch. And I don't know if that was a nervous twitch or what. I don't know what that was, but
he kept cocking his head to the side. I know he has the eyes and all that. I'm not being nasty here, but he was looking like as if he was trying to shift his eyes, like his vision was impaired or something. It was really strange.
He's always had that kind of twisted eye, but that thing in the corner, just kind of like looking up at the lights and stuff. Again, I don't know if it was just nervousness, exhaustion. I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, he's passed all the CT scans and stuff, so I don't know. To me, anyway, he is another victim, shall we say, of the Eddie Hearn matchmaking. He's probably a victim himself, actually. I mean, as Ozzy mentioned there, you had the biggest chance, your biggest payday. Okay, you'd got well beaten. But you've pissed it away, and you have to go back for a rematch with Diaz, who, by the way, I wouldn't be too sure you're going to beat in a rematch, because Diaz, what was his second or third attempt at a title, I think it was. He looked hungry, man, and that is one of the best performances I've seen from Diaz. I know he missed weight for one of these title fights, but whenever that fight was in close, Farmer didn't want to really get involved, and Diaz just made it count. He worked the body, he stepped back through right hands, and again, this is probably a bit like Andrade, but Farmer's opponents just didn't set him up properly for a guy who Diaz's amateur pedigree, just the hunger and stuff. He's been living off the matchroom paycheck as well. James Tennyson, John O'Carroll, for example, just poor defences. I know I've mentioned Carroll might win a world title, maybe not the first, second, or third attempt stuff, but I think he'll give title holders problems. But Tevin Farmer, I think, is one of these guys, because he does the bang. He's got a wee bit of slickness about him stuff, but he's just not got the power to make fighters respect him, and he's going to struggle actually. And just again, that was a wee bit concerning as well. So I don't know again if it was due to dehydration, nervousness, or whatever you want to call it, but it didn't look well. But again, Tevin Farmer's another one who, to me, is maybe another victim, shall we say, of this TV kind of situation. Because again, where would that fight have happened? Davis is meant to be on Showtime at the minute, so where would that fight have took place? Espinosa's, he's still saying that Showtime is still invested in boxing. They're really pushing Clarissa Shields heavy and stuff. So to me, it suggests that they're going to, be in the game for a wee bit longer. Doesn't matter what Eddie says about Showtime and stuff, but he's fucked it as well, and again, as I say, a rematch, I wouldn't be surprised to maybe even see Diaz maybe even stop him next time actually.
Rob, I don't know what you want to add. I know you want to talk about the YouTube situation. You know that whenever anything catches on, it always filters down, doesn't it? We're on YouTube, so who knows, in a few years, Nuts TV, maybe Box Nation will have sunk to such depths we could be fighting like Next Big Pod or Boxing Coalition or something. That's what it could come down to.
Fucking kill the Next Big Pod, would we? We would kill the Next Big Pod. Fucking hell.
I want Brian King right now. Come on, Brian. Let's do this.
Brian is like the Canelo of the fucking. He's the A side in the Next Big Pod. Everybody wants him. No, on the Diaz and Farmer fight, I think Diaz has to get a lot of credit. As Andy said, he looks hungry. He came to fight. One thing he was doing really early in the fight that I liked was a lot of fighters, if single arms are hooked, you're entitled to work. And a lot of fighters, when they come together and arms are hooked now, they wait for the referee to break him. Farmer seemed content to let the ref come and break him, and Diaz was punching. He was like, fuck it, I'm punching, I'm working on the inside, I'm going to make you work. Looked like there was a big size difference there as well. I know you mentioned Diaz failed the weight before. He looked a lot bigger than Farmer. But I'm just wondering with Farmer, he's had a lot of fights since 2018. I think that was his 6th fight. and he's been very active with training camps and stuff. I wonder did he leave a bit in training or something. His legs didn't look there at all. Like, the Diaz forced the pace, and like he was digging the body and stuff, and things just weren't working for him. He just didn't look strong on the night, and like doing some quirky things in the ring. So there was a couple of concerns about him, but you got to give Diaz credit, and I think we called that last week, didn't we? Thought the fan was going to have a tough night with I think the southpaw style as well, offset him in the early rounds particularly. But this YouTube thing, dude, like I watched this fight by accident because my little one was watching it, right? So Logan Paul's brother is fighting, right? So Eddie said during the week, he dismissed the question. He said anybody is entitled to turn pro. That's true. Does that mean they have to be on fucking pay-per-view? He's talking about, yeah, well, they do the numbers. Well, if fucking Thursday night wasn't a good example of what could happen to one of these YouTubers, if you keep letting them turn pro and keep letting them fight each other with 8-ounce gloves, that was a fucking complete mismatch. A complete mismatch. The fella that got knocked out looked like he'd never thrown a punch before. The other fella didn't look too much better, but he was athletic and big and strong, and it was a complete fucking mismatch. And the guy got smashed to bits in about 80 seconds and could have got really hurt. Now, what happens if you put these YouTubers on a card and one of them comes away with debilitating injuries? That they're not even. How do you match make these guys? How do you tell? All right, anybody can turn pro. True, that's true. Anybody can turn pro and get a license in the States. Absolutely, fucking anybody. But how do you measure them against each other to see where they're at before you start matchmaking with these fellas?
It's like white collar.
Someone's going to get really, really, really hard. And what are you going to do then? That fella could have come away the other night with a brain injury. He was getting battered that badly. Like,
you'll be Eddie on IFL crying again, probably.
Fucking tiny tears again.
Yeah, but this is the point though, Rob. It's what Ozzy said as well. He said, you have to give these guys respect for putting on the gloves. No. Then they say, well, you wouldn't get in the ring. Well, yeah, I would. I'd happily get in the ring and put on the gloves and the shorts, and I would look like that guy. That's why they shouldn't let bags of shit like me or him into the ring in the first place.
Absolute, I'm all for the, and just because he does the numbers, what are the numbers going to count if someone gets hurt? Because that's a real possibility. And then what did you have afterwards? KSI come in the ring and confront him on a fucking undercard of a pro fight. Come on, Mac. And he's brazening it out, saying, no, look, there comes a line in everybody's job where numbers count. And basically he's saying, I haven't got the fucking numbers, and if I can get numbers brought in here, if I can generate some more subscriptions for DAZN by putting these fights on, I'm going to put them on. I haven't even got a problem with that. Just don't be putting them on pro cards. It's not right. It's a disrespect to the sport. It's and more of a concern of a safety point of view. Like another reason why I'm against those white collar fights, because people could get seriously fucking hard boxing. It's not fucking five-a-side soccer or anything, by the way. You know what I mean? It's not like fucking where they let the celebrities play against the fucking real footballers once in a while to raise money for fucking Live Aid or whatever the fuck it is. It's boxing, like, and one of these guys is going to get badly hurt, and it nearly happened the other night. The referee was a bit late stopping it as well. It's so fucking shocking, absolutely shocking. A disrespect to the sport.
That's the thing, though, mate. That is the thing as well. Sorry, I'll be very brief, but see, there's a reason why these cards have been, these YouTube fights are done as professional fights in America, is because they're easy to get a license for. Those kids, if they were fighting in the UK, it would have been forced by the board to have a sparring session in front of them before they got licensed with a live body to pass it. Like did with Freddie Flintoff. He had to go into a gym with board officials there to see if he was competent enough to look to defend himself in a professional fucking fight.
How did he get past that then?
Well,
he must have paid somebody off.
I know, but you know what I'm saying?
They turned him down the first time though, and credit to them, they refused him a license the first time. He went back, he had to train for another 6 months, and he went back and got it then.
At least the board done something to see if he was competent enough. Fuck, Steve, you and I can go to America right now and get licensed to work in somebody's corner or fight the fucking alright if we wanted to. It's a fucking Wild West over there, man. No cunt gives a fuck. I mean, you've got Red Cat's getting he's getting his entire purse withheld for biting Danny Garcia. Well, Jarrell Miller's going to be fucking blowing up fucking laboratories because his fucking piss samples fucking catch on fire.
That's true.
And banned for 6 fucking months.
And signed to the biggest fucking guys in the sport now.
Exactly.
Top rank.
What the fuck is going on?
Go on, Ozzy.
We want to be honest, yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. No, it was mainly echoing what everything about this said. I mean, look, it sounds horrendous, but I tell you what, I hope somebody gets hurt. I hope one of these YouTubers gets hurt, because I tell you what, there's only one fucking person to blame then, and that is the person who is actively promoting these mismatches and just freak shows and piss takes. There's nothing to judge them off because they're not boxers, and like I said, you get it all the time. Or you can't slag these people off because they dare to be great and they get in the ring and there's a story behind them. Yes, but they're not fighting any fucking body. They're just fighting a fellow YouTuber. It's fuck all that. They could go and have a fucking bare knuckle in the street or something. You're a fucking asshole. Things like that. And then, as you say, as Rob said, it doesn't need to be on the TV. But then if it wasn't on the TV, they would have no interest whatsoever. It's solely a marketing ploy. That is it.
As much as we dig out hard as well, mention to the ex-fighters who are getting involved with these fellas. Shannon the Cannon, fucking Shane Mosley was in with Jake Paul the other night. When he's fucking anyone, a fighter should know better. Like a fighter should know better. Absolute disgrace.
But they'll what's it called? But the thing is, though, there's becoming more of an out. Like after Thursday night, I saw a hell of a lot of pros, pro boxers, trainers, fellow promoters, managers, etc. A lot of people involved in the sport were basically saying it is an absolute piss take, basically. And basically they've had enough. And I've just seen Lee Frotch say that I'm wishing death. I'm not.
Sack him.
I'm certainly not wishing death. But I'll be may like something like a bit of not as bad as death.
A brain injury.
Maybe. No, not that far.
What?
I'm doing it. I'm doing an Umar. I'm doing an Umar IFL Umar. I'm leaving now, and I'm never coming back after he's iced all of his accounts. So.
Yo, your watches, mate.
I've been hacked. It's not me. By the way, it's not me. This. I'm being pressured into saying these things. So.
That's Aussie Smith 101. That's tweeting out all this bad talk.
Yeah, correct.
Right, boys, let's move on. I was going to hit Gabe with something, but he seems to have disappeared. MB says Aussie deleting his Mixler account. Andy, let's go over to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Look like they're having a great time over there. God knows what was happening. I wasn't paying attention clearly to the fight because I remember Makabu getting dropped, but I don't remember Sislak going down. Sislak looked like he was bollocks from about the second round, but he gave it a right good go. I thought Makabu would win handier. I thought 114, 112 was probably about right. It was a decent scrap all round. Makabu's finally got his world title. They were never going to let Sislak out of the country with that belt, were they?
Well, it sounds like they're going to let him out of the country without a fucking his cash as well. Was it you or was it Ozzy was telling us about he's had to be paid in cash because of problems with the bank?
Yeah. So they were gonna. I saw a report that basically that on the morning of the fight, it was agreed that purses would be transferred into their respective bank accounts. Anyway, there was issues with the purses going into the accounts. So basically, Team Sislak said, "We're not going to fight. Where is this cash? We want it." Anyway, so it was an apparent problem with the banks or something like that over there, and they couldn't, make the transaction. So he was just paid in a big carrier bag full of cash, and he's just going to be walking around the Congo with it, and then having to fly back out.
Bro,
Thanks.
I'm going to look. You can see it going to the airport and that. He's got this bag of cash and that. What could possibly go wrong in Africa with something like that? Everything to declare, gentlemen. Just put it through the scanners. Oh yes, I can see it right now. To be honest, I missed the first round and my YouTube stream cut out in round 12 due to copyright issues. So it was for what I saw, it was a really good fight, very close fight. Sislak, I did think he would have won last week. I did pick him, but when he got dropped, and he got dropped heavily actually, he got up, his legs were gone, and I thought he was there to be had. But fair play to him, he dug in, come back, dropped Makabu. Well, didn't really drop him, he kind of touched down. I don't know about you, Steve, but the Makabu looked like he was kind of like on shaky legs that entire fight. It just looked like, he just needed like a hard dig and it would just have knocked him over. I
agree. I think in the first round he took like a sort of half jab right hand and he was shaking all over the place. I was surprised Sislak didn't jump on him. His balance was off, I thought, Makabu.
That's what I thought with Sislak. I said I just thought he might have kind of pulled it off and that, but when I saw that, I'm saying, so why are you not over the top of this guy? But his left hand's going to be respected, Makabu. I don't know what age he's at these days, but definitely that left hand's going to be a stunner for everybody. He had Bellew done as well, didn't he, before that dramatic knockout? So he has got to be respected with that left hand. But it seems him and Don King are now have kissed and made up. You know, he's back in with the WBC, Big Don. So pity old man Suleiman wasn't still alive now, because we're making deals out the park and stuff. But yeah, I'm interested to see what he does next. Makabu, I don't know who. I think now, who's off the top of my head. Maybe he might even fight Vidalchik next, probably in Poland. Who knows? But
the WBC top 10, Andy. It's not flying with names, is it? I mean, look at some of the shit, man. He could be defending against absolute dog dirt for the next couple of years. Have you seen it?
I think he might fight Machuno. I think Machuno will win a WBC Bobo and that, so he might get the number 1 spot. Yeah. Who knows? But you got Vidalchik, who's washed. Ruslan Fafer isn't great. Tabiti got badly knocked out in the World Super Series, and Duradola, I think he's fighting either fighting this week or he's fighting next week. I think
he won.
Did he win? What was the result?
I think he won by knockout, actually.
Did he? I was looking for it actually, but I knew you mentioned it.
Yeah, he beat Abraham Tabul.
Aye, but Steve, as you mentioned, it was chaos ringside, man. Honestly, it was fucking chaos, and it was like getting held in a public park somewhere. And I've seen videos of the kind of like, it looked like, remember Michael Conlan's fight getting held in the Falls Park, I think it was.
Oh
yeah,
something like that.
It was something along those lines, like a big grassy area and that fucking, and then all the people piled on top of it. It was just fucking mental. But anything that Makabu did, obviously the crowd were going absolutely crazy and stuff. So. Decent. It was a very decent fight actually. Decent scrap, must admit. Regardless of how bad or Makabu looked actually, but I just think he's there to be had. Like, but again, that left hand equaliser is going to be something to kind of keep him in fights these days.
The ring announcer was having a great time at the end, Ozzy, wasn't he? That guy, he's like one of those Christian channel people, like, drive the demon out of you. He was having a right good time, and Makabu was lying on the canvas at the end and all. It was like one of those Christian things, wasn't it?
I've not been able to see it, which is a shame. So I'm going to try and catch it this week. But what I was going to say is that I wouldn't be shocked that if Lawrence Okoli can beat Glowacki, I would not be shocked to see a unification towards the back end of the year between Okoli and Makabu, because it'd be relatively cheap to fly over. They've already done it once before. Now imagine that come the end of 2020, you could see Lawrence Okoli unifying the cruiserweight division, because the Glowacki fight's going to be made and I think announced for around 3 months' time, taking place in America. So that was what I was going to throw in. But another one that Andy said, I think Makabu and Machuno would be quite good. Again, it's got a bit, like an all-African fight and things like that. Certainly see that happening. Kevin Lorena as well. Is he fighting?
They're fighting next week, aren't they? Yeah.
Is he fighting Virat Arslan next week?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, 50-year-old Arslan.
Fucking hell, I know. And he'll come in, and Arslan will come in absolutely chiseled again and things like that. So yeah, all natural. Steroids. All natural, Andy. All natural. It's all he's getting his greens in, all his vegetables and fruit and things like that. So it's going to be an interesting situation. I mean, when is the final of the
March? End of March. You're talking about Bredis. Not just we're talking about Machuno there, mate. He beat Lebedev. It was for the vacant WBC silver title, so it's possibly going to put him in the offing for Makabu. But yeah, Bredis Dortico is the 21st of March, I think it is.
Correct. Yeah, spot on. And then that is for the WBC Diamond Cruiser title as well. So fuck knows whatever that is. But again, you would suspect that whether that puts the winner of that then puts it in line, to get a shot against Makabu potentially. I'm not too sure, but there's lots of fun fights to be made. One thing I've always found with Makabu is he's willing to take a hell of a lot of shots to land the money shot on his opponents. So he's always going to be in exciting fights. And at the moment, he's on a hell of a run of form, considered when he got absolutely obliterated by Bellew over here. What was it, 3 years ago now?
Wow.
That's a good while ago, aye.
Yeah.
2016, aye.
Friggin' hell.
God, 4 years ago. Jesus Christ.
He's come back and he's beat Kudryashvili, Papin and Sislak, so yeah, decent wee run
that's
there.
That's a good run,
fights.
Yeah, that's
decent
okay.
Run,
all on the road. Well, 2 of them on the road as well.
Yeah, 2 in Russia, yeah.
Yeah, so good wins.
Absolutely, you are listening to episode 358 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Ozzy's with us, rapping Rob Kelly, Andy Patterson and Gabe Lewis. Gabe, let's have your pick of where we shall go next. I know you saw one of these cards, I'm not sure which one it was. You can maybe enlighten me. You're Dennis Ugas getting a win over Mike Dallas Jr. in the 7th round. Possibly Ugas against Thurman up next. Keith Thurman was ringside commentating for FS1, Fox Sports 1, so we could be seeing that one. Also, Austin Trout is campaigning at £147 now, calling out Errol Spence, Terence Crawford and a pile of others after his big win over Rosbel Montoya on the Impact Christian Network. So thank Jesus for making that card come to fruition. Ugas or Trout, Gabe, it's up to you.
Thank Jesus, indeed. I watched the part of the Ugas card. I didn't see the whole thing because I fucking just passed out. The fight that I did see from that card was Clay Collard. He is MMA fighter is I suppose primary profession, but he beat a kid, Raymond Guajardo. So Guajardo was an undefeated 5-0 guy coming into the fight. Collard last fought, or well, not last, maybe it's been a little bit, but he fought on the card with Tito Acosta whenever he lost. Oh fuck, who beat him? We just talked about that goddamn fight. I think it was I know it was last year. I think it was about the middle or the end of last year. But anyway, he fought one of I believe it was one of Golden Boy's little prospects, and I think that he drew on that card. So I've seen this guy fight before, and he's pretty entertaining. But I watched last night, and that was without a doubt round one was round of the year to this point. Nothing beats it. It was lots of action, lots of huge punches. Both guys taking some leather. Really, to be honest with you, it was actually pretty good show in that first round. So both guys get hurt, both guys go down, and the prospect, he's the guy that everybody's there, wanting to see win, to continue on and improve the 6-0 and all those good things. And this Collard guy, pretty undesirable record, to be fair. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience in the boxing ring. Think about 10 fights it was, and so he goes in just throwing really short, really crisp, really hard punches, and he gets in between some of the punches that Raymond Guajardo was throwing, and just pummels him a bit. And then he gets a big punch landed on him, goes down like a sack of taters, gets up, finishes the round strong, and busts up Guajardo's nose. So Guajardo ends the first round bleeding, bloodied. Absolutely, if you haven't seen that one, you need to go find it and watch that one. So round one was round of the year, and then in the second round, Collard finishes him off to finish the fight off. I downloaded several things, and that was one of them. So I'm not sure if it was actually on the TV, because when I fell asleep last night, I didn't have the card set up to record, so I didn't get to watch the whole card. But I did watch that one on later on out on the download, and that was one that you definitely want to go check out. That was probably the best thing I've seen all weekend long.
There you go, everybody. Go and check that out. No signs of Jason Chukwu in the chat just yet. Keeping an eye out for the mighty Jason Chukwu. See if he fell asleep. Ozzy coming to you shortly on the Ulster Hall card. Before we do so, Rob, just mention this to you actually. Shout out to Charles Conwell, 11-0, 8 knockouts. He's fighting next weekend. It's his first fight back since his tragic fight against Patrick Day. Obviously, it's not the first time these things have happened. It's not going to be the last. I always think of Mike Perez after he fought Magomed Abdusalamov, so I'm sure you'll echo my sentiments in saying good luck to Charles Conwell. It's a hard thing to put in the past, but hopefully he can move his career on now, despite what happened.
Yeah, unless you're Kovalev. Shit, like really, frankly, going on. It's one of the things that every fighter has at the back of their mind, I'm sure, when they go into, well, maybe not, they probably might try to black it out a lot of times, but it can happen. And I know fighters would hope not to do that. They all really hope that both of them get home safe at the end of it, but it's just part of the sport. And again, kind of way so against this YouTube stuff and white collar stuff is that even when fighters are seasoned professionals, this kind of thing can happen. So with amateurs, obviously, they are not complete novices. The risk is way, way higher. So, yeah, it's just an unfortunate aspect of our sport. It happened a lot last year. We had a couple of incidents last year that I'm not even sure could have been avoided. It's just, it's a brutal sport. It's one of the most brutal sports in the world. So, yeah, unfortunate, but hopefully he can get his career back on track.
Yep, good luck to Charles Conwell. Aussie, Ulster Hall, Belfast. I wasn't able to attend, unfortunately, but I watched it on YouTube. Decent card by all accounts. Lewis Crocker getting a win over John Thane. Thane hasn't really got the power to push anybody these days. I can see him start to rack up the losses if he stays in the in the game. Maybe not a journeyman, but as a gatekeeper type. Crocker pretty much had it his own way. Sean McComb in the main event against Mero Maximiliano Godoy. As I expected, Godoy had no business really being in against McComb. It's a name on the record. He's been against previous people, but McComb hopefully will step up beyond that. Lee Haskins had a sort of brace on his knee. Thought he looked terrible. I hope he hangs it up as well. Even when he was catching David Oliver Joyce with shots, I was worried about his welfare. I don't want to see Haskins continue for too much longer. He always has the potential to stink out the joint, and now he's not very mobile at all. Fight of the night, I expected Gary Cully. Sorry, Andy?
Did Haskins not retire last night after that fight?
Oh, he might well have done. I didn't.
He did.
Oh, he has. Oh, that's good. Well, thankfully, I'm happy with that. I'm sure everyone will be pleased to know. Gary Cully, Joe Fitzpatrick. I expected pretty even Stevens early on before Cully taking over and maybe stopping Fitzpatrick late. Cully just absolutely swarmed. He's going to be a handful for people. Fitzpatrick's swayed in and out of the sport. He has had personal problems, but he's been inactive. Things haven't gone well for him outside of the ring, and I don't know if he's even going to continue fighting. Frank Warren tried to do something with him, Mark Dunlop tried to do something with him. You had this bizarre situation last night, Aussie, where he signed to Boxing Island Promotions. The fight with Cully was made behind their back, or whatever happened. Boxing Island were running a show in Belfast the same night, while their main man Fitzpatrick was fighting on this one. Got knocked out by Cully in the first round. He just caught him. Fitzpatrick just looked so stiff. His head was to one side, and Cully just bang, 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 never let him off the hook. I think looking forward, Fitzpatrick's career is just going to die a death. But as for Cully, as I say, he's going to be a handful for anyone going forward.
He's going to be difficult to match against Gary Cully. I don't know how he makes lightweight. He's absolutely massive. And it was a very, very impressive display. As you say, he caught Fitzpatrick, and it was a big shot. Fitzpatrick did well to get up. He battled on, but to no avail really, and Cully just swarmed him and landed a number of big shots on him, and the referee quite rightly stepped in and called an end to it. And as we say, I didn't know much about Fitzpatrick. I've obviously seen Cully on the TV quite a few times, and it's going to be interesting to see where they match him next. Plenty of domestic fights available. He's got the backing to do it, so I think it's key to keep him active because he had a bit of a quiet year last year. So get him active and keep stepping him up because, as you say, Steve, he's going to be a handful for anybody. Sean McComb, I believe, is going to drop down to lightweight, and he looked big at super lightweight, I thought. So he's going to be, if he can make that weight pretty, safely, he's going to cause a lot of problems at 135. He battered Godoy. I think he just beat the will out of him, didn't he? And they called it quits before suffering any more damage. Crocker Thane was a decent fight. I thought Thane asked questions of Crocker without really causing many problems. He just lacks power, Thane, and you can only get so far on, if you can't keep people off you or make a dent in them, you've got to be very special, and Thane isn't that. He can certainly win a domestic belt. He just needs to be matched correctly, Thane. As for Crocker, talented lad, can clearly punch as well, has power in both hands, and again, another exciting prospect. For the main event, I thought Haskins could maybe do something depending on what he had left. But as soon as I saw that strapping on the knee, I thought there's something not right here. And he was just complete. He looked small in there, and he got battered. And then for the first knockdown, it's like his knee just gave way. So there was clearly something up pre-fight with it. and it just wasn't, he essentially wasn't fit, and he's made the correct decision to, abandon the comeback. He's hung the gloves up for good, and he'll retain his health there. As for Joyce, don't think you can learn too much from this fight because, as you say, it was a shadow of what Lee Haskins was, which was an ex-world champion, in his prime and a more of an adequate operator around the world level. So I would like to see Joyce, in with a bit more of a live body next. It's a good name to have. But yes, certainly, more opportunities around domestically for him. But no, a good card to start the year for MTK. And as you say, we mentioned before about the sheer amount of boxing, but these guys are doing it right. They're getting the fighters out. They're matching in-house because that's the best way for them to get the fights done. They keep their fighters active, and they're a good stepping stone, for when they make the jump up to the bigger shows. So as you say, like, these lads have had a fight, first week. They can potentially get out another 3 or 4 times this year, depending on the calibre of opponents they're fighting. So all in all, a decent little show, and on to the next one for everybody.
On to the next one indeed. We'll go through the action for next week. A bit of Kell Brook coming up shortly, a bit of Gary Russell Jr. as well. Jason Chukwu has arrived. He's asking what cards there were over the weekend. He's woken up well and truly. Next weekend in Ukraine, Artem Delakian defends his WBA flyweight title against Joseph Perez. 19-0 Delakian. I wasn't going to dwell on it, Andy, but feel free to say anything if you want. Do you think Delakian maybe needs to be moved a little bit faster? Have you been critical of him in the past, or am I thinking of somebody else?
Yes. No, you have. I can probably segue off this, mate, as well, because you've got this card in Ukraine on Saturday and you've got the card for Panama on the Friday. Now, Delakian's 19-0, right? He's been a pro now since 2011, 9 fucking years, and he's had 19 fights. Right? So I can understand why on Panama on Friday night they've created the interim title, who will be contested by Luis Concepcion and Robert Barrera for Colombia. Now, Concepcion is like ranked 7th. Right, the WBA, like flyweight we're talking about here, right? Barrera, I think he's something along the lines of, I think he's like 3rd or something like that, right? So, like, the whole Panama situation, as we're going to mention it, the only reason this fight's happening in Panama is because the WBA are based there. And guess what country Luis Concepcion comes from? Fucking Panama, right? You couldn't make this shit up. And the worst thing to he's lost to Andrew Maloney by stoppage. He got beat off Iran Diaz. He got beat off Cal Yafai. Right? So all these wee filler fights he's won in between, like 8 rounders and all that shit, right, has somehow managed to get him into an interim fucking title fight. I just don't understand it. This Barrera gadget, he lost to Taguchi a few years ago. I can't remember that fight and that, but I'm gonna have to side with Barrera in this one, like, because Concepcion he's been good entertainment value, but I think he's definitely on the slide now. Got to be. I mean, some of these wars he's been in and stuff. It's Marquez, Kono, guys like that. He's served his time in the sport, but I just cannot believe he's getting a title shot. Again, nepotism is probably the wrong word, but he shouldn't be fighting this trash. So again, Delakian as well. He's one of these fighters who. He's done nothing as well. He's really done nothing. He doesn't fight often enough. He's another Andrade type situation. He's had 1 fight last year. He fought 3 times in 2018, and he fought once in 2017. I don't know what his situation is whatsoever, but again, as I say, he's 9 years a pro, 19 fights, 32 years of age, and he's a WBA regular champion. Well, you've got Luis Concepcion fighting for the interim belt, so we're going to get a mandatory defence here. And it means shit to the division. He should be fighting like, Martinez has got a fight coming up, I think, next week. But guys like Tanaka and Mithilane and that, they would be ideal opponents for him. But nah, I think he's way, what do you call that boxing promoter, Steve? Is it Union? No Union. No Universum. I think it's Union Boxing Promotions he's with, and they're quite. I don't know what the situation is at all. To be honest with you, he's just not active enough. He's another champion who, again, no active, but because he's inactivity, he's forcing WBA's hand to create these fucking shitty belts rather than just strip him and fucking put the belt up and offer for the highest rank contenders, like say the 2 ties or whatever stuff, or some of the Japanese guys. They create this shit. And again, as I say, the only reason Concepcion is fighting for his belt because he's a Panamanian and he's ranked 7th. I don't know. Again, the Thai fighters I mentioned last week are no. The situation in Thailand at the minute is funny boxing wise. I don't care what the situations they're taught. And the Japanese, well, they might need to fold after what's happened with the JBC and the Komedas and stuff, but nah, it's just another one of these situations, mate. The WBA have now created another belt and they're going to have another champion on the roster as of next week. So somebody type up how many champions are going to have over all the weight divisions. There must be something close to fucking 50 now. A fucking shambles. They must account for at least 40% of the belt holders in the sport at the minute. It is fucking bullshit.
Absolutely bullshit. There are no Philippines Games and Amusement Board anyway. That's what Big Bert alerted me to, the Philippines Games and Amusement Board title during the week, so I wouldn't mind getting on board and fighting for that one. That'd be a good title. One guy who needs to step up next week is Dusty Hernandez Harrison. Keeping an eye on this guy for a while now. Had a time off from 2016 to 2019. He's 33-0-1, and the one was a draw, which came against Mike Dallas Jr. So I don't know whether this super middleweight's ever going to step up. He's in an 8-rounder against Les Sherrington. So the less said about him, the better. Gabe, let's go on to your neck of the woods. Pennsylvania Athletic Commission, not too far away from you, expecting you to be in attendance for this. Gary Russell Jr. defending his WBC featherweight title, his annual outing against Tugstot Nyambiar, King Tug himself, 11-0. On the undercard, Gary Russell also fights. There's a debut for Gary Russell, another outing for Gary Russell, and Gary Russell fights as well, so plenty of Gary Russell action there for you. Guillermo Rigondeaux's on the card against Laborio Solis for the vacant WBA bantamweight title. Any interest for you, Gabe? Gary Russell. Which Gary Russell are we talking about? That's the problem, though. We've got Antonio. There's another one as well somewhere. Yeah, Gary Russell against Nyambiar, Gabe. Any interest?
Gary.
He's not answering.
Gary?
Where are you, Gabe? Come on. I think we've lost him. Do you want to go with this, Andy?
Crying like a little bitch.
Andy, Gary Russell, Tug, any interest from you, or should we move on?
Well, it might be difficult of sorts. I think Tug puts the pressure on. Can
punch you.
Yeah, he can punch a bit, I think, as well. I just don't know, man. I mean, Gary Russell does nothing for me, and I can't remember the last fight. I don't think he even watched his last fight. But obviously he's got the hand speed, he's meant to have the skills and stuff, but how often can you keep getting away with fighting once a year before, I mean, is he active in the gym? Is the fact that he's not active enough going to catch up with him? I don't know. And they say Tug's quite a big guy for the weight, I think. That might be interesting, such, but I expect Russell will have enough to see him out in points. Definitely superior hand speed and that, but yeah, I think if he stays away from the right hand, at least he'll definitely win the fight. But again, man, this is another guy's career who probably getting overpaid as well, not active enough, and we're saying this a lot tonight. It's incredible. We talk about the sport. These guys are fighting, once, twice a year, and then, you expect us to remember, who they are, and they want to be the A side, pay-per-view, demand all the money and stuff. He's after one fight only, and that's Santa Cruz, who, you think that fight would be easily made as well, but, again, Santa Cruz is a protected species by Al Heyman and stuff, but, Gary Russell's another one whose career I just do not give one squat a piss about. I really don't, Steve. But I might tune into this one.
It's funny because he was touted as one of the heirs to the Mayweather throne back when they're looking for the next star. His hand speed was blistering. Took the loss to Lomachenko and has gone into fighting once a year, and was even doing that before the Lomachenko fight. And I never really minded him. I thought he was a good fighter. I thought he had the hand speed was pretty eye catching, to be honest with you. And he'd schooled certain guys. And he was good to watch, but. Ever since he pulled that stunt with Santa Cruz's dad, I want him to lose every fight. That was fucking deplorable. Like, I can't get behind a guy like that, like a roof from. when he said he was Leo, I could steal on your old man or whatever. I could swim. Yeah, with that creepy voice that he was doing on the camera. Like, I want him to lose all his fights now.
Fuck up your daddy. Yeah.
Here's a prediction then, Andy, before we bring Ozzy.
If that wouldn't make Santa Cruz want to make the fight right away. You know what I mean? So you're not fucking rolling up on my old man telling him you're going to put hands on him. Like, I'm not even a fighter. Fucking hell, like.
He actually came out and justified it by some weird excuse, like saying, like, look, Leo, you're ducking me. I can get to your dad easier than what I can get to you, so to speak. I'm like, no, you've done that for the right effect. And as Rob says, if that was my old man, then there would be words to be had. But Steve, prediction, I'm going to say Russell on points.
Russell on points. Yeah, Ozzy, I think that it'll go the distance as well. I think not Gervonta Davis, he's another species altogether. We're talking about him in Belly of the Weeks. Gary Russell, sorry. I think he's going to look $1 million for the first part of the fight. Hand speed and everything, probably making Tug look a bit pedestrian. But if Nyambia or Ozzy can hang in there, hunt the body, use his physical strength, use his power, I think this could become a bit of an old slog for Russell in the second half of the fight, but he will get through on points. But if he doesn't get rid of him early on, I think, as I say, it could become a bit of a slog, because you imagine Tug will be there for the long haul.
I would agree, and I'd echo everything what everybody else has said. You've got to wonder how long you can keep producing the goods when you're fighting once a year, and it's pretty much the same time every year. I was going to say, where have they put? Is this a mandatory defence? This,
yeah.
Where have they pulled? It is a mandatory defence, yeah. So this is what I mean. So it's nothing spectacular, is it? I think you say, yeah, he'll look excellent early on, maybe score a knockdown, but then it wouldn't shock me if he labours to a points win as well. But yeah, I mean, I'd love him to surprise us, go and blast him out of there and say, right, I want to fight again. But we just know that's not going to happen, particularly when there's potential unifications to be made as well. I don't know if a fight with like Cam Zhu would interest Russell Jr. or something like that, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's not a tremendous fight of sorts, but I think Russell will come through pretty much unscathed.
Rob, any views on you, Russell, Nyambia? But first of all, the return of Rigondeaux down to bantamweight. How long is Rigondeaux going to keep going? That's the question.
Well, I was the number one Rigo fan, man. Do you know what I mean? I was definitely on the Rigo hype train for all those years. I was so disappointed to see how it turned out when he ended up putting himself in a position where he had to take the Loma fight for a payday, to be honest with you. Badly managed since he turned pro. Well, no, actually, well managed with Gary Hyde, but just badly advised. Probably hasn't made as much money as he should have, and is fighting at 100 years of age. Like, who knows what age Rigo is now? Like, but he'll probably still go out and knock this guy out, because he's a supreme talent and he can punch. He's always going to be able to punch. He'll take your head off with a punch, especially down at lower weights. Like, he's probably still fighting 4 pounds above his optimum weight, like, which is just even a testament to how good he actually was. I don't want people to lose sight of how good Rigondeaux was, is basically what I'm trying to say here. Like, he was amazing. He did have that blip against Rigondeaux, but he's gone up essentially 3 weight classes really against probably the best guy at that weight that we've seen in 25 years. So I don't think it would have been a strike against him if he lost, but certainly the manner in which he jacked it was sad to see. Like, but don't forget about how good he was, because he was unbelievable.
So, and there was, before we go on to the Kell Brook card and then close out with Belly of the Weeks, obligatory mention next weekend, 8th of February. A big Saul Farah card. I know we mentioned it last week, but I wanted to give a shout out to one of the people I alerted the Twitter following to this week. Elvis Verastegui Torrico, 8-0 with 8 knockouts, 45 years of age. He's a promoter as well, like Saul, matchmaker and referee. Going in against 0-7-1 Caesar Mamani. I'm a big fan of this Caesar Mamani myself. He's on a good run of form. 4 knockouts ago, he drew with a debutant, so that's his one draw. He's lost 3 times to Esteban Hillman Tababari, and he's been knocked out on the other 4 occasions by the mighty Saul Farah himself. This could be the pick of the card, Ozzy. I think Elvis Verastegui Torrico against Caesar Mamani. This is definitely something you'll be tuning in for.
Well, I've actually just I'm looking to book some flights to get out there, experience the atmosphere, see Saul Farah first referee, bit of matchmaking, and then don the gloves to challenge Luis Gregorio Castelo Yapavenda 1 and 3. So Can't wait for it. Some big fights on the card, isn't there? Toriko Mamani. Then we've got Esteban Hillman Tabari against Jorge David Equeza Anez. A couple of Bolivian titles on the line. What more could you want? Pay-per-view in some countries.
Pay-per-view experience out in Bolivia. Gabe, are you back with us by any chance? Yep. Go on, Rob.
Yep. It's going to be the end of Yapa Vende.
I love the way you look on their records and they're just all like fighting each other constantly, and then one of them goes off and has a fight somewhere else, then he comes back and he goes in with Tababari again or Mamani.
After it? You reckon they all go to the bar after like, come on, we're going to fight you next week, man. I can't wait. That was some laugh when I fought you a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Get a line out there. Get a line going.
Gabe, you're back with us. Do you want to have your 2 pence worth on Rigondo Solis and Gary Russell against Tug?
Woo! You guys all know I'm the biggest Jackal fan around. Of course I'll have my say. I think it's actually a pretty good fight. I'm eager to see what happens. You know, in Rigondeaux's last fight, he looked kind of vulnerable. I don't know if that was as much as his legs being gone and him being old, or as much of him being willing to stay in the pocket and take some punches and go to battle. But I mean, this is the kind of fight that he needs. You know, he's not going to ever reach a high amount of professional fights just because of his age and because of how infrequently he's fought over his career. But I think the biggest thing to think of is the biggest, most important thing is he's really still a pretty fresh guy in terms of the amount of punishment he's taken. So in terms of what he's willing to be able to take from another fight, I feel like his mind is there, but I don't know if his body will keep up with him. So, and he's at that age where you kind of expect any really fight could be his last one. Especially if he just turns out to be one of those guys that just all of a sudden pops up as a shot fighter, which I don't think is going to be the case at all in this fight. And I really think it might be actually a pretty good fight overall. So I'm eager to see what happens. Of course, like I said, I'm one of the biggest fans of the guy. I've been one of the guys that supported his career pretty much the whole time. And so I'm always excited to see him fight with Gary Russell. You know, he's fighting early enough this year that maybe we might get 2 fights out of him this year. Who can tell? Obviously, the chances of that are pretty low. But he's one of those guys that, you know, people would love to watch if he fucking never fought, which is the problem. He just doesn't fight that much. So, you know, overall, I'm excited about the card. I haven't looked to see who all else is on the undercard. But those 2 fights, for me, are worth the value of tuning in alone. So I'm pretty excited about those.
Yeah, I know we decry the fact that people don't fight as often these days, and if they do fight one another at all, that's a bonus. But I think it is sad that you can't just put things to bed and just see how good actually fighters are, and they even have round robins. Like, I know, I don't want to hark back to an era that I was never part of, but someone like Sugar Ray Robinson, we laughed that he fought LaMotta or Bobo Olsen and then 5 or 6 times, but at least you got a clear picture of who the challengers were, who the contenders were, who was the best of the era. Like if you had Gary Russell going in against Santa Cruz a couple of times, Nyambiar against Santa Cruz, you could throw in Josh Warrington, Shakur Stevenson, have a rematch if need be, and then the winner fights Russell. You could just sort it out and know who was good and who was fake, and I don't know, maybe it's a sepia-tinted era that we're never going to go back to. Talking to people who are stepping up to the big time, Kell Brook going in against the mighty Mark DeLuca next weekend, vacant WBO Intercontinental Super Welterweight title. This is why Kell Brook is the number 154-pound fighter in the world, as Eddie once said. Talking of Claudio Marrero, who I just mentioned, or maybe I didn't, he's going in against Kid Galahad anyway. Terry Harper is unifying... Is she? IBO, is that a unification? Against Eva Wallstrom. Martin J. Ward going in against Jesus Amparan. Ozzy, you'd probably be all over this. Anthony Tomlinson against Stuart Burt. On paper, records look like it could be a pretty decent scrap. Maybe we'll get to see that on Facebook. The mighty Dave Allen going in against TBA as well. Any value to be had on this card, Ozzy? If there is, do let us know.
No, not really. It's pretty shit, to be honest. Galahad is wormed his way into another final eliminator opportunity for the IBF belt. I just hope he gets beat and fucks off, because he's one of the most boring fighters to watch, and I don't see this being a good fight whatsoever. Terry Harper against this Eva Wallström, again, don't care. It's of no interest to me, women's boxing. Tomlinson Burt, yeah, this is a British title eliminator, so it could be good. As you said, neither of them have fought much on the way up to 11-0 and 13-1. So we can wait and see. Fingers crossed it could be good, but I would suspect that it could sneak on the TV, actually, Steve, just looking at the card. I think Harper has done a load of tickets, apparently. So she'll be on, Brooke will be on, Galahad. Yeah, it may sneak the first TV slot, or it'll be a Facebook one, which it'd be a shame if it gets no publicity, because it's probably one of the more competitive fights. Martin Ward against Jesus Amparam, again, garbage. And the main event, Kell Brook, Mark DeLuca, again, garbage. We've been told not to sleep on Mark DeLuca. We've heard all this before about Jojo Dan and a couple of other terrible defences that he made. And Kevin Bizier, don't sleep on Bizier. We fucking did sleep on Bizier, because he was an absolute clown and got wiped out. And I suspect exactly the same will happen to this Mark DeLuca as well. I don't think Brooks what he was, but he's certainly got enough to beat this guy. I don't know where they've plucked him from. Really bizarre opponent. And this type of opponent sums up Kell Brook's career. It's warm-up after warm-up after warm-up. He got a great win over in America, fought rubbish after that, jumped into a Golovkin fight because basically, I'm not saying he needed to, but it was the only big fight available to him, and he dared to be great, as Adam Smith said. Ruined his health from that perspective, where he got a shattered eye socket. Errol Spence did the same to the other eye socket, and again, what did he have out then? He's not fought in 12 months. He's coming back now. If he wins, where does that put him? I mean, do you not remember when he turned over at 154? He fought an eliminator apparently for the WBA title, which made him mandatory, and he never took it up. So God knows what's going to happen. But overall, the card's pretty shoddy. Dave Allen not even got an opponent, so you never know. They might fly Saul Farrer in, for Allen or something like that.
Dorian Dortch, according to Ames in the chat, Ozzy.
Oh, is that who it's going to be? Oh God. Well, to be fair, it is what Dave Allen needs. This, like a couple of 6-rounders and stuff like that. If he's serious about coming back and stuff, but he's like a bit of a, what's one of these people? Like a bit of a agony aunt now. He's taken that fat Scottish lad under his wing. What's his name? Jay McFarlane. Yeah, brought him down to the gym and stuff like that, and I can't work out if he's actually training him or not.
Just what the kid needs.
Yeah. You are.
That's just what the kid needs.
Yeah, so that's happening. Look, Dorian Dortch, he is what he is. He's an honest fighter that comes and gives it a go. Allen should have more than enough to see him off, and then God knows. I don't even want to predict what will happen next with Dave Allen, because nobody knows. He'll probably get a couple of these 6-round wins and then gets excited and then starts calling out, what's his called, Povetkin. Yeah, I'll take that fight and stuff like that. So God knows what's going to happen. But overall, it's a really disappointing card. It's one. It's not easy to get excited about and think, oh, make sure to watch that at the weekend. I'll watch the Brook fight out of interest to see how good Brook looks, because I think in his last fight against Zerafa he was poor, but he was under a new trainer, wasn't he? We fucked off after that. What was his name?
Fuchs, yeah.
Yeah, John Fuchs, and that never worked out. And look, him and Ingle have done good things, but in the past, so he's back there. One thing Brook has done is he's brought the weight down quite slowly. I think he's been in camp for a while now. Saw a couple of pictures and he looked good at the weight. He looked decent. So, I mean, I hope he's not, like shot to bits, because I do like him as a fighter and I think he's talented. Fingers crossed he blasts this guy out, and once and for all he gets a bit of momentum and takes the big fights, because I don't want to see him in with any more Mark DeLucas anymore. It's boring.
Yeah, Andy, I don't know where you're sitting on this one. I'm going to place myself as the expert on Mark DeLuca. I did see him fight against Walter Two Guns Wright. He'd actually lost to Wright, and then he beat him in the rematch. It was on the Boston card, the Andrade card we were talking about earlier when Tevin Farmer fought as well. He's pretty straightforward, DeLuca, solid, bit of a plodder. If Brook is any semblance of his former self, he's going to have to plant his feet and look to get rid of this guy. I'm saying in about 8 or 9 rounds. If he goes the distance with DeLuca, there's absolutely no hope for him, because this guy should be tailor-made. He shouldn't be pushing Kell Brook the distance, in my opinion.
Well, I was reading up on a wee bit about him. I think he'd done some tours in Afghanistan with the US Marines as well. So I dare say he'll be primed and ready for combat. Those Marine guys, they get put through combat drills, like hand-to-hand combat. And that. So I dare say he'll be able to handle himself. But as Ozzy says, if Brook's doing the weight right properly and that, then is it definitely at 147 or is it at a catch weight? Doesn't really matter.
It's a super welter.
Oh, is it? So 154?
Yeah, there's a shitty title on the line.
Oh, is it? Right, okay.
There'll be the old belt on the line. So
Charlo's not their own notice now, isn't it? It's like Eddie said over like a year and a half ago after Zarafa, they are their own notice. I've never seen DeLuca, but to be honest with you, apart from what I've read, he's tough, solid enough, but clearly not in the same kind of class, shall I say, as Brook. But I don't know where fucking Brook's at. Brook's no fought since, when did he fight last? Must be well over a year ago. I'll say Brook wins this. I'm going to say he wins it on points. DeLuca, I think he's only got the one defeat or something there. But again, I'm just going off what I read. I don't think Brook's... Yeah. Brook's foot is 1 foot out of the sport, 1 foot in the sport. He's semi-retired. He's only hanging about for a certain fight. So again, this might just come down to what kind of mood is he in. I'm going to say he wins wide on points and probably doesn't look good doing it. Other than that, mate, I'm not really interested at all in the card. I think Galahad against Marrero might be a possible banana skin. If it goes to the cards, I think Galahad will win it, but it could be scrappy. But he's not fought many southpaws, Galahad. This kid is, and he's been in tough as well. He fought Tug. I think it was last year or year before. He's been in with Rojas as well, and Quellar. So it's a potential banana skin, and it is a final eliminator for Josh Warrington's title. So I'm hoping Warrington somehow gets that Stevenson fight over the line, gets it signed and delivered. I might go to it as well, but I don't want to see a rematch between Galahad and Warrington. So I'm hoping if we're going to get a mandatory defence for Warrington, I want the Colombian to win the fight. But if it's a messy, scrappy affair with a lot of hold and the referee having to break it all up and stuff, it goes the distance, Galahad's getting the decision. There's just no way two bouts about it. He's going to get a decision in this one. But other than that, I'm not really giving a fuck about it.
No, I was going to say he's gone the distance with Cuellar and Tug, so he's pretty durable. Marrero, I know Rojas stopped him, but he knocked out Carlos Zambrano as well. It was 26-0. He knocked out Rico Ramos, so he can punch a bit, this Marrero, but he won't get near Kid Galahad's been, I don't think so. Any interest from you, Rob? Jason Chukwu's put something in the chat, Rob. I'm sure you won't mind me reading this out to you, because when Chukwu speaks, he says everyone knows Kell Brook is talented. Floyd Mayweather Jr. knew that. That's why he ducked him after Pacquiao. The problem with Kell Brook is he hasn't tested himself throughout his career, even though he got the questionable win over Sean Porter. Look what Porter has done, and look what Brook has done since then. Kell Brook has used the Amir Khan fight falling through as an excuse to fight bums. Chukwu has spoken.
No, I don't think he's too much wrong. He showed promise at 47. I don't think I ever fully believed the hype, but he's a genuine contender at 147. Won a world title. The only interest I have in this fight is if your man's a Marine, so maybe he wears his uniform to the ring to try and fluster Kell Brook and all hot and bothered, or he comes out to that Suzanne Vega song, "My name is Luca, gonna put you on the floor," something like that. Get the fuck, you know what I mean? After Sweet Caroline, get some kind of interest going in it, because apart from that, I can't see any, you know what I mean? It should be a routine win for Brook. And where the fuck does he go? Like, he needs a fight, doesn't he? Fucking hell, like, with the king of 154 fighting Mark DeLuca. Give me a break.
Give me a break, says Rob. Gabe, That DAZN subscription will be paying for this for you. You'll probably get it, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Kell Brook, Mark DeLuca, Kid Galahad, Claudio Marrero. What a time to be alive for you, Gabe, down in Texas.
Oh, I can't hardly wait. Actually, would love to see Kid Galahad get knocked out. That'd be pretty tremendous. I can't think of a better way for the day to start, actually. Terms of action, yeah, it'll be on in the afternoon, I would assume. So, yeah, Kid Galahad getting knocked out. I can't remember what all else he said's on this card. I'm still not going to jump 100% on board the Kell Brook hate bandwagon. He's done some decent things. Overall, his career has not been tremendous, I would say. But, enough for me not to hate him like you guys do. Certainly enough for that. But then again, that's kind of like comparing a lake to an ocean.
There you go, a bit of poetry from Gabe there, picking Kell Brook to get the business done. Episode 358, Boxing Style Nuthouse podcast. Rob's here, Gabe's here, Ozzy, Andy with me, Steve. We're about to move on to Belly of the Week. Anybody else got anything else they want to add in, throw my way before we go on to Belly of the Week? Speak now, gentlemen. Doesn't sound like it. I think we'll move on then. First nomination comes in from Franny for Dominic Ingle. Ingle's been on absolute form lately. Don't know where these PED accusations come from, he says. Puts up a picture of Dom back in his 20s and now in his 50s. I got an absolute cracker coming from Ted Barrett this week. I don't think I've screenshotted it actually, but Dom put something up on his Instagram. He was advertising these PEDs, performance enhancing dinners. Did anybody see it? Get fit with my nutritious dinners. And he called them PEDs, performance enhancing dinners.
I saw that.
Oh dear, what a legend, Dom. You're going to get them on them, Ozzy? Get the old 6-pack going with some performance-enhancing dinners?
Yeah, sounds good, yeah. Anything to have, what is it, the Ingle Pringles?
He was on form this week. He took it to Bellew. Bellew, of course, Mr. Against PEDs because he's not friends with anyone in the Ingle gym. Went on a rant about PEDs in the sport, the usual banging the drum for a clean sport. Tony Bellew, just leave him alone, he wants to be left alone. But Dominic Ingle didn't want to leave him alone. It was like, you still have it in for me ever since I gave you life and death with Bob Adges staff. Wait till I see you, something along those lines. And Bellew goes, I don't consider this an argument because I don't do that online.
Just leave him alone, will you?
When I see you, just come and see me, but leave me alone.
Rumpo fucking Stiltskin.
Good old Tony. We'll maybe get a nomination for him before the evening is out. Sherlock Homeboy said Demetrius Andrade is on the cusp of the pound for pound. A big fight would elevate his profile amongst the casuals. He's definitely one of the best doing it right now. Andy, you nominated that one. He's definitely one of the best doing it right now. Doing what exactly?
That's what I said at the start when I was giving my rant about Andrade, and that I'm getting told that he's on the cusp of pound for pound. He's got a belt and he's got skills. Well, fuck me gently with a hot poker, because I'll tell you right now, he is not entertaining. He doesn't put asses on seats. He doesn't sell fuck all. Right? And you need to put YouTubers on your card to fucking prop it up. You're a serious bother. You want to call it Carello and you want to think you're 50-50 for Cotto? Fuck you.
Another one, Andy. We don't know who this gentleman was because it got blanked out, but Michael Montero shared it. David Almond 86 nominated. Who would win, said this Facebooker. Gervonta Davis versus Roberto Duran. I don't see this fight being competitive at all. Davis would KO him within 6 rounds. Just as well. This guy scraped out his name.
Oh, he's at it. No, he's
got to be.
Come on.
Got to be. Got to be at it. I mean,
Gervonta Davis packs out Roberto Duran.
Anything. What is Davis again? He's 135. Right? He shouldn't be 130. He should be 130. But Duran at 135, man. Fucking, he would. Duran would do an autopsy on that guy live in the fucking ring. I'm serious, man. 135 to 154, he fucking bodies him and embalms him and fucking sells his organs on the black market. He's fucking at it.
Who would win? Who would win? The fellow who has one legit win against Pedraza, or one of the greatest lightweights of all? They're arguably the greatest lightweight of all time. It's a real head scratcher.
Me baby G-Raw. Surely. You know, we're told he's the pound for pound king. He's coming for all the belts, all the smoke, but he likes to beat a woman as well. So he's undefeated in the household as well, boys. Baby
we'll get into that surely. Surely coming to that one, Steve.
coming to Mixler soon, guys, on Gervonta Davis. Jason Chukwu's thrown one in the chat. Let's just read this out, shall we? Belly of the week to Nesta McGregor, whoever that is, on One Extra. When talking about Kobe Bryant, said Shaquille O'Neal was sold to the Miami Heat. Even though you don't get sold in basketball, you get traded. What the fuck's this, Chukwu? That's not boxing. Friggin', I'll take Chukwu sucker punch me with that one. A basketball belly of the week.
Guess,
I
guess
fell
what,
asleep.
Chukwu? He's still
You're
dead.
a fucking bum. You're a fucking asshole.
Gosh. Fucking hell.
That's harsh. Chukwu blindsided me with that one, though. Have to get him. Michael Buffer has been nominated from Super Dicky 193. Tony Bellew was talking about the time he fought Adonis Stevenson. Buffer, quote unquote, jumped in on Twitter. Bomber, I remember you at the weigh-in looking like a prison camp skeleton. It's all history now as you came back full circle on that great night in Goodison Park, Liverpool, capturing the World Cruiserweight Championship. Hashtag let's get ready to rumble, and then a little trademark sign next to it. So you're going to stick that up your hole,
Who the
Buffer.
hell is running this account? Can you honestly believe Michael Buffer sits there, type stuff,
Reminiscent about Bellew Makabu.
Oh my god! and he can barely remember what fighters are called when he's announcing the names. Yet he can remember what Tony Bellew looked like on the scales against Adonis Stevenson. It's all. It's a parody account.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Account. And then he even trademarked the fucking "Let's get ready to rumble" thing. Comedy.
Oh, freaking hell. Nomination for Buffer there. Trading Leather Boxing. Nomination for Dave Allen for being a trainer, but insists on allowing every single one of them lads to have their hands down constantly. Wonder where the habit comes from. Some CTE prospects for sure. From Trading Leather Boxing. Here we go. Jamie Coleman, one of many people to nominate the man, the myth, the legend, Rob. Gervonta Davis, dropping him with a choke slam. Where was he? Was he at a show, I'm assuming? What was going on?
He was at a fight or something, or at the early stages of a fight, and the woman was sitting in the seat, and Davis, flanked by two of his security, come and lift her up by the throat out of the seat and move her on out through the venue. Like, you're dead when I get you outside. And the two boys, of course, did nothing. They were just like, yo, pump her up. You know what I mean? Good job, Gervonta. Ape emoji. If I give you a shout out on my social media. So maybe Gervonta was serious when he tweeted, "Don't ever disrespect me," and he came to get the wife by the throat. And look, I think a harsh lesson has to be learned here, and that's don't grab your woman by the throat, especially when there's loads of cameras around. Just wait till you get her home. You know what I mean? You can't fucking do that in public. But all jokes aside, like, I think he's been an accident waiting to happen, has he? We know the stories about him. His background in Baltimore, very, very harsh. He's been given a chance here, and he's reverted back to his old ways. Don't know if I can blame him for that. Like I said before, he didn't even know what a bank account was. Like, when he signed as a pro, he was just, do you know what I mean? He's had nothing, but he's got a lot. Like, you cannot do that. Like, you just can't hit your woman, man. Like, you know, you're a pro
fighter. You know what makes
like,
it worse? You know what makes it worse, Rob? Like, adds almost not a comedy value. Obviously, I'm not adding comedy to this, but the fact that he's like a little fat jelly baby as well.
Yeah, he's wobbling out there behind her like fucking Orville the Duck, wasn't he? Like, draped in his platinum jewelry. But like, no, it's disgraceful. Like, and probably nothing will happen. We've seen this shit with AB. We've seen Shakur Stevenson fucking rally on a one outside a fucking gas station. Nothing happens. He's on the fight the next week. So nothing's going to happen to Gervonta. I don't think his stock is going to go down. Floyd will be disappointed because he did all of his wife beating behind closed doors, at least. You know what I mean? So, no, it's not a good look. Like, it's absolutely, you know, it's just happening earlier. I think we kind of saw this from Gervonta Davis, unfortunately.
Yeah, I called it.
And it's just happening earlier. Like, he's, as a fighter, like I always say, can't take anything away from him. I think he's a really, really good fighter. But he hasn't fought anybody since Pedraza, and he's blowing up in weight, and he's acting like a fucking moron. And you know what I mean? You get back what you put out, and he's getting it back in spades now. Like.
Rob,
well, this is Andy. This is the problem, right? Because they said to him, "You're going to be the next Floyd." They said to him and Broner, "You're going to be the next Floyd Mayweather." But they've took all the bad parts, you know. They didn't get the right memo. I mean, they're not doing the Mayweather things. They're doing the beating, the spending, the fucking about, but they're not doing the actual stuff in the ring that Mayweather was doing.
I mentioned it last week. We were talking about Broner, for example. We were doing Billy the Beat last week. You saw Floyd in the club. You didn't see any alcohol. and he ran home from the club. These fuckers are going about wasted, by the way. Right? And Davis's problem was when he hooked up with, I don't know if he hooked up with Broner's trainer or vice versa. Was it Kevin Cunningham? I think they got the same trainer. I don't know if it's still the same and stuff. But the second they got in cahoots, I'm like, fucking hell. You know,
the last person, he ruins fighters. Fucking Robert Easter is another one. Ruined from fucking hanging around with fucking Broner, like. And
another thing
is absolute joke.
He can't make weight. He's fat as fuck in between fights. He doesn't live the life. And you know, Joe Frazier always said that the shit that you did as a young man will come back to bite you in the arse as you get older. And this is what's going to happen with him. He's going to cut the weight, and then one day, bang, he's not going to be able to make it, and he's going to take a fucking bad beating in order to back it. Now, again, he's another one who's fighting fighters who are levels below him and stuff, and he's probably been protected somewhat because, I don't know if he's still with Showtime and that, but my God, he needs to get a grip, and there were tweets. I've seen a tweet actually as well. I need to go and try and grab it, Steve, if you can bear with me briefly. But he'd actually mentioned, for example, if his missus actually ever cheated on him, she'd be going to the hospital. So I need to try and find. I think I maybe tweeted you guys into it actually when I saw it. Bear with me a second. I need to try and get the exact quote.
I remember that.
The fuck is it? Smithers doing my nut in here with this chat. I can't get it, Steve. It's
no,
but he's just basically saying, if she's not doing what she's told, basically, we take a visit to the hospital. So I think what we saw last night as we taster as to actually what goes on behind closed doors. That's all I'm going to say on it. I mean, it's no funny and stuff like that at the end of the day, but these guys think they're a lot above themselves, and to me, he's another one who, if you remember, anybody watched the scene The Wire, for example, people couldn't understand where these drug dealers were ending up, bodies were going missing. There was a lot of empty houses in Baltimore, and there was all the dead bodies going into the empty houses and getting boarded up. So I could see maybe wee baby G-Raw ending down the same road, because sooner or later, if they sell all his shit, like he did with Floyd Mayweather, and that, how he bought my house on the furniture and stuff, and ended up selling it off to move back to Baltimore. It's the old habits, baby. That's what's going to happen to him. No, fucked out, looking for a handout, unfortunately.
Devonta Davis, a strong front runner for this week. Moving on. Someone called Vidal Riley was tweeting out. He said, 2017, I began training JJ for the Weller fight. I'm assuming he's meaning JJ McDonough when he fought Paul Weller. And look, everything we achieved, says Vidal. It's now January 2020. Yeah, he's right about that. And I had the pleasure of seeing my brothers go to battle and change their lives as mine changed also. I love the community, and today I retire from coaching. He's had a great career, whoever he is, to pursue my own dreams. And Isaiah Ocasio jumped in and said, you're a legend of the community, bro. Looking forward to watching your rise to world champion. I have no idea who these people are, but British Boxing Blog has nominated Ocasio anyway for saying that this Mr. Riley is going to get to world championship level. Marcus Bellinger has nominated Lance Pugmire, had Tevin Farmer 67-66 up through 7 rounds. No Consent Boxing has nominated Wills Black Wolf, who back in 28th of July 2019 said, Anthony Sims Jr. reminds me at times of Robinson and Leonard. I'm very interested to see how his career develops. Well, fast forward, Ozzy, to last Thursday against Alexis Roma Angulo, and he's looking more, I don't know, like Robinson and Leonard, maybe friggin' Leonard Rigsby, because he's already got a loss on his record. Oh dear. There you go. Some of these things. And
Miss Jones.
The final one I've got here was sent in by our friend Marvelous Mendo over on Facebook. Belly of the Week nomination for Deontay the Big Dosser Wilder for going to Rome, then standing at the Colosseum and wishing he was one of the gladiators back in the day, obviously not realising they were probably slaves made to kill each other to entertain the public, meeting the Pope and not explaining he hopes to kill someone in the ring one day, then screaming bomb squad on the stairs in the Vatican while leaving the building. Big dumbass Dosser, says Marvelous Mendo. Not happy about that.
Good on him. Top squad, baby. He knew about the Roman gladiators, and he's been thinking about it to this day.
To this day.
Big Dosser. Any nominations from you, Andrew?
Yeah, I've got one for Broner actually. Again, unfortunately, off the back end of this begging for money, about bread. So you know how you set up, I'll fight for you if you support me and all that sort of stuff. So I just happened to go on Instagram on Thursday night. I'm scrolling through it. I said, I'll go and visit wee baby Broner, see how he's getting on, see if he's back on social media training and stuff, because he was saying he was off it and that, but he's come back and he's he's posted a screenshot for this guy called at Big Bail 08 $. Right? He's obviously went to the Cash App and he's donated $1,000 to Adrian Broner. He took a screenshot. He says, "I appreciate all my fans. Support me and I fight for you. About billions 89." Oh, so some fucking wido actually went in and paid him the money. I just fucking unbelievable. Baby Giro, as I says, and maybe now's the right time to mention Umar, IFL Umar, who has now become persona non grata in Liverpool, whilst he was a fucking hero in Manchester, probably, So
we'll never forget.
Never forget. And can I also show Steve, the Japanese Boxing Commission, who this week have apparently lost, I guess, 45 million Japanese yuan, I think it is. To the Kimeda clan, who remember they were banned for fighting in Japan for whatever reason and stuff. So it's been broken down. Koke, Tomoke, and Daki is going to get so many millions of Japanese yuans and stuff. Interestingly, the lawyer's not too happy about the ruling, about the amount that's been given to them. But this is all going back to the fight between Daki and Libero Solis, which I think happened with Solis failed to make the weight, and the rule for Kimeda remained as champion under IBF rules or whatever it was, and then the JBC were told that if Kimeda lost, he would lose his title. So Kimeda lost the bout, became the vacant title basically, and they've just took the JBC to court, and as a result of it, they got stripped of their license. You know how in Japan you can't fight unless your gym's licensed with the JBC. So they revoked the license for them. They couldn't fight in Japan. They couldn't train in Japan. They had to fight abroad. I think Daki and Koke basically retired, and Tomaki kind of fought in Mexico, fought in America and that as well, fought McDonald. And this has been the out result of it. So JBC might end up becoming the Kimeda BC, or the Kimeda clan's going to overtake Japanese boxing. We'll wait and see, but it's a big rule in that actually. And for what I was reading on Asian boxing, I don't think they can fill the bill. A wee bit, so we'll just wait to see how this is going to play out.
There you go, strong entries from Andy. Anything from you, Gabriel? Any nominations, Gabe?
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. No nominations from me.
Rob, you've always got one or two to throw in. Who's getting iced this week?
What does that mean, Steve? One for the guy who bet, was it 6,000 on Tevin Farmer? And Farmer tweeted out, said it'll be the easiest money you'll ever make. And screenshot this tweet, Jojo's easy work. So value for poor Tevin Farmer for that one. And I just like the look of these Umar tweets, man, to be honest with you. I think it's bad form fellas digging up tweets when lads are after moving on and have nice fancy watches and all. I don't think that's fair game. But like he said, Liverpool and all them unemployed bin dippers can go fuck themselves. tweeted at Special K Brook, listen you stupid cunt, take the 70-30 split, best thing you'll ever earn. It's a winnable fight, mandatory avoider. And then puts up a picture of Eddie Hearn when you're not the only one in the country putting on shit pay-per-views, shit in bold, hashtag Eubanks. And then imagine, I think he would have liked it on the pod, Umar. Imagine comparing Joshua to Ali. I want to get off this planet, cunts. That was in 2017. So
Umar Asylum Umar?
No need to, that was his evil twin brother, IFL, Umar, IFL. But I don't think there's any need to delete your account over that, man. You're only speaking your mind. Man up, put your big fancy watch on. I've just come up with that right now, by the way, that he wears a big fancy watch. That's my idea. So, put your watch on and get back in the game, baby. Don't be letting the haters bring you down. Bants, it's all bants. No context.
Oh, did he start Robbie up? But the next thing will start with no context with Umar. But is he still doing well sexually? That's the main thing. Forget the watch.
Oh, maybe she's left it. Maybe we'll look at the social media because she could be off to Tyann, man.
Yeah, Tyann Booth will be kind of smashing the granny out of her right now as you speak, you know.
Tweet him and ask him how his Sunday's going.
I don't want to interrupt the guy, man, if he's balls deep.
Ozzy, any nominations from you?
He's maybe put the balls in as well, you know.
Negative, none from me.
What's wrong with you, Steve?
You?
Oh,
You.
what did I do? I never said nothing.
Oh man, Chuckwu's woken up. I love the way he comes into the pod and he asks. He hasn't watched anything from the weekend, and he's like going through all the results in real time. Wow, Tevin Farmer lost as well, and it's all coming he's like Father Jack coming out of his haze.
I think I was waiting to say he's been smoking that amnesia haze, but it sounds it, but he's just fucking waking up the new. Some PCP dipped in for good measure, you know.
Making breakfast right now, like, oh god, damn Farmer.
God, it's that time of morning, is it? Oh fuck, it's 10 past 10 at night. Fucking, what am I doing? Time for bed, baby.
Fell asleep.
Fell asleep.
I fell asleep.
Just bands, isn't it?
No context, Chuckwu.
That is Chuckwu. There's no need to make that. That's just Chuckwu. Oh dear, poor Chuckwu. We do love. You know what? I'll give Chuckwu his credit, man. He takes us slagging, like he never huffs or anything or disappears. He comes back every week. He's a good lad. He's a good lad. Right, I'm going for Javonte Davis. Andy, it's got to be. What are you going for? Andy, who's getting your nomination this week? I'm going for Javonte Davis.
Sorry, I was talking to him. I was on mute. Sorry, mate. I didn't really want to vote for Javonte because that's domestic violence, really, you know. So maybe Adrian Brunner, that he's actually asking for money and accepting it as well. So it's about the bread. But I'm going to go for IFL Umar actually, or Umar IFL Umar. Coogan just tweeted out that it'll be dealt with, it'll be investigated thoroughly. So I can see a committee getting involved here. Probably
someone might cave his head in.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I think the committee will involve people not from Liverpool. If they're from Manchester, he'll probably get voted back into staying his job. But sign on with a hole in your heart, and you'll never get a job. Umar, you'll never get a job. I'm going for Umar.
I wonder what he's going to do with himself next. What job could he do?
Start his own job, wouldn't he? Yeah, he's do his own thing. Hook up with Tayamo and all, and then let him get off the... He'd probably, actually, do you know what? He'd probably do well if he was saying all the shit that he's saying in his tweets.
There you go. Ozzy, who are you going for this week?
Ooh, tough one. I'd love to pick Michael Buffer for that comment about Tony Bellew on the scales, knowing it's not him. Davis is another, but I think I'm going to go for Umar, IFL Umar as well. I mean, his whole world has come crashing down because of tweets.
He could have his life threatened now.
Monitor lizards
for saying don't compare him to Ali Hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The thing is, though, right, he's fucking right about that. The morons who compare him to Muhammad Ali and stuff, he's actually right. There's nothing thingy. It's when he gets personal on stuff like that and like calling things. He's an idiot. He should have just deleted everything. You should have started a new account. Delete the account and start a new one. Bit naive, really, but yeah, we can make his day if he wins this award potentially. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Does that mean he'll need to sell that self-contained flat up Eddie Hearn's arse? He'll need to sell that for a few bob as well, won't he? So he might be doing okay.
Airbnb, I'd say there'd be a few takers.
I like about Curtin Rieger just now, the poor bastard. €17 for that fucking shithole. Christ's sake, man. IFL Umar will be lucky to get rid of his one for fucking £10. So I met people sniffing Eddie Hearn's arse these days and that, he'd probably get rid of it pretty quick.
Rob, who are you going for?
Sorry. I think it's hard to look past Umar, but like I said, I kind of like what the shit he was saying in his tweets. The only problem I have with him is that he's got to delete his account now instead of just saying, "Look, I said it." Boom. That's what it is. Like, where are you running from it? Like you said, it, that's it.
Just own up to it.
You know what I mean?
Listen, I think we're all, well, Steve and Rob and that, we're kind of roughly about the same age and that. I mean, the shit that we did and said before social media and camera phones, you know, we've been losing our jobs, man.
You know, the people commenting on stuff and who were grassing him up and things like that. It's like the fucking angels and innocent and haven't done anything whatsoever. You know,
and at the end of the day, like you said, he was telling the truth with most of the stuff. Even the Kel Brook, he went about it the wrong way, like a troll did. But like he was saying to Brook, look where Brook is now. Was he wrong?
Yeah,
no, you know, he should just own it. Like, so he is a strong contender, but I think Davis, man.
He's gone from abusing all these fighters and stuff, and technically saying stuff correctly, just not wording it right, to becoming, you know, like a grade A arse licker to everybody and things like that.
He is, but I will give him credit. Sometimes he does try to put hard on the spot, and he will badger him a little bit. But he wants that access, doesn't he? He wants the access. Like, that's what it's all about for him. You know what I mean?
I've seen people say a hell of a lot worse. Get away with stuff. He's not said anything too bad, so it would be a shame if he did get potted, particularly by a firm that is, let's just say, not well thought of in Ireland. Anyway,
I mean, I know we're all be retweeting it and commenting on it and stuff, but we're only doing it as a laugh and a bit of troll and that. I mean, but for fuck's sake, you know, as I say, if you go back all your tweets, all your comments on the internet or what we've said in private or public and that, you know, fucking
it's
hell.
Just wrong. You can't be judging people on what they said in the past anyway. You have to fucking let that shit go. Like, it's wrong. I don't like that shit. Like, so I'm not giving Umar my vote for that. I'm gonna go for Davis, man. He can't be fucking at that. Like, yeah, prick you. What are you doing? Like, I don't care if she's the fucking biggest whole rat on earth or whatever she's after doing. Don't pick her up by the neck. Like, you're a fighter, man. You know what I mean? It's only going to end one way for Javante. Like, so yeah, bad form from him.
Yeah, that's 2 for Javante then. Who are you going for this week, Gabriel, before we finish up?
You voted yet, Steve?
Yep.
Man. Davis.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I went for Javante, Andy.
Me and Andy were trying to give Umar a bit of glimmer of hope.
Yeah, I know.
Get him award-winning Umar, IFL Umar. Add it to that CV of his. So when he's
so close, it could really go either way.
I've just got his phone number, so I'm going to give him my phone, put an arm around about him, and just speak to him like an uncle, and try and talk him round and stuff, because he's in a bad place at the minute for what I'm getting told. So having all that access to all these fighters, I knew it's like, you know, Liverpool baby are going to kill you. But Manchester,
Andy, you're the last person he needs on the phone right now.
How? Hey, listen, I'm a good soulmate to people, by the way. I listen to people, I talk to them, I try and, you know, guide them. But, you know, the youngsters today, man, they don't listen. They're full of their own shit, hype and importance. All in the material stuff rather than what's important, health and life. But nah, you know, it's going to come back. I wouldn't be surprised as well as if his watch is, you know, but possibly, you know, trigger somebody to the point as I'm going to get that bastard. You know, just, you know, and how he's doing well sexually, posting up pictures of that young lady on Twitter and stuff like that. You know,
they split up a while ago, didn't they?
Yeah, but he's got to have a bit of fresh tail on the side. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Like Alfie.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
We'll introduce him to Porky Russ. That's what he needs to speak with now. Big Porky will
Go to
Anabu.
Beef! Trying to get them on.
She be gone to Tyanbu.
Oh, listen, this next video is going to be amazing. But I bet he does one this week to just purely for that purpose.
Andy, I bet he's doing it now.
Some American fella said, "Hey man, you like Tyann Boots videos?" And he was like, "No, not particularly. No. You fucking really got the hump with your man, like, fucking brilliant."
Anything else to add, boys, or should we finish up then? I think Javonte Davis won, by the way.
Go to Adam Booth.
Operation U-Tree.
Just throwing in an Operation U-Tree for you, Chuckwoo. Chuckwoo keeps on throwing in non-boxing related Belly of the Weeks, so I'm going to have to give you a digital slap for that, Mr. Chuckwoo. Let's finish up then, boys. Thanks for everybody who's come on. Ozzy Smith, Rob Kelly, Gabe Lewis, Andy Patterson. We've had a good time, haven't we? We'll see you all again for episode 359 next week. Same time, same place. I've been Steve Wellings. Bye.
Bye.